What's going on, everybody? Welcome into another edition of the Casual Sports Podcast. We got a lot going on today. We've got March Madness getting underway. We got some college basketball news, the retirement of Drew Brees. But before we get into that, Alex is going to take us.
All right, everybody, welcome into another week of this show. It's the 15th of March. This show goes up on Wednesday on Anchor, YouTube. You can check us out there if you want to listen to the show. You can also find us on Spotify. Type in Casual Sports Report or Casual Sports Podcast wherever you listen to your shows, and you can listen to us there. Check down in our bios and descriptions for merchandise. We got a lot of good stuff out there. Please check it out. If you want to buy something, buy it. It's a good time of the year to do it. You might have a little bit. We're away from the holidays, so you might have a little bit more left in your pocket. So give it to us. Check us out on. You're right.
Please give me some money.
And thank you. Hey, it's for the show.
It's for the show.
For a good cause. It's to make the show they listen to better. Check us out on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Casual Sports Report. Without any further ado, thank you all for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe. Mike, take it away.
All right, so we got Alec Caberner's mentioned and Matt Morrison with us.
Sir.
Before we get into, everybody wants to talk about March Madness brackets released, our predictions, but before
we're going to go through the whole thing, so just stay tuned here. It might be a little bit of a longer show. Just stay rolling with us.
We're going to get into that in a moment, but just
grab that popcorn and kick back.
Listen to us yell at each other about our predictions.
Yeah,
right.
This Thursday.
Maybe.
Before we make our predictions and start arguing with each other, Matt, Penn State has a new basketball coach.
Yes, they do, and you know what? I like this guy. He was under Brad Stevens at both Boston and when he was at Butler. So, and he also spent time at Purdue. So, you know how Purdue was in offense these past couple years.
Right. Yeah. So
I think.
Go ahead.
I think he's a really good guy. What was his name?
Micah Shrewberry.
Shrewberry
is the next head coach of the Nittany Lions. He, as Matt said, he was assistant under Brad Stevens at Butler, and he spent 6 years with him with the Celtics in the NBA before coming back to the college ranks with Purdue in 2019. I really don't know much about him other than what I just researched and told you guys there, but
he's an offensive guy. He'll electrify the offense, I think.
That's an issue in the Big Ten, though.
It is.
Yeah.
You need a defensive coach in the Big Ten. I'm sorry. Look at Ohio State's style. I bring up them because I watched more of them. When they moved on from Thad Matta and brought in, this younger guy who's done a great job, the primary focus was defense. If you watch Ohio State, you can see they are not an offensive-minded team. They are defense. Look at Purdue, a very defense team.
Yeah.
Michigan, defense.
Yeah.
So
Illinois, defense. These teams in the Big Ten, strong defense teams. They are huge teams, with the exception of Ohio State. They are built around a solid big man, and to have Penn State try and come in and completely redefine Big Ten basketball, it'll either do what it did for Ohio State in football when they brought in the SEC style of offense for Ohio State with the addition of Urban Meyer, or it'll have the opposite effect that you see just more often in sports, if they bring in a coach with a new style to the system and it kind of falls flat.
But and like you're saying, that's his familiarity with the Big Ten being with Purdue.
Yeah,
I know it was only 1 year or 2 years, but that at least he knows the style, like you're saying.
Yeah.
He
That's
knows
probably
the
the most
style.
important thing with bringing a coach into the Big Ten is you have to know the style, you have to understand it, you have to understand you have to build around a big guy.
They have a couple big guys there, too.
Every successful Big Ten team has been built around a big.
Yeah, it has to be.
They are the Big Ten for a reason.
Penn State's the only thing from watching them this year. They were not a bad team at all.
No.
I know the record didn't show it.
Also hardest conference in football, undoubtedly.
Very hard in both football and
basketball.
basketball, both of them. But particularly in basketball,
Down
we're
here
talking
for
about
Penn
now.
State, man.
After a great year last year.
Last year they caught a hard time last year.
A lot of people did with the COVID outbreak.
I like the team they have right now. They have they have some good shooters. I think they shoot too many threes, but defensively they're not bad. Their offense isn't bad either, but sometimes they shoot their way out of games. And if they could stop that by bringing in a guy like this, but like I said, they have good shooters. Let them shoot. But
there's a couple guys that can work on their shot. There's that Miles Dredd. That man, when he hits them, they look all right. But man, remember that last game? He hit like 1 of 7.
And they got some good pieces. I like Seth Lundy. I like guys like that.
I like they had that guy John Harrer. He's their
John
big guy.
Harrer. I don't know if he's coming back or not.
I don't know.
So I feel like
Most
he's been there
important
forever.
thing for every person in the offseason, just keep improving your jump shot. I think every team's got to improve on that.
You can never stop.
That's definitely a strong suit for Penn State if they want to go with that offensive style. work on the jump shot. You got to get more consistency if you're going to be an offensive team that kind of isn't going to rely on your defense to create your points and create your momentum. If you're going to rely on your offense, they got to make sure they get more consistent shooters.
I mean, in
from all over the court, not
yeah.
just 3-2.
Yeah.
You got to get the mid-range shot. Free throws, huge, especially in that Big Ten tournament. You saw there were so many teams that they went cold from the free throw line. Purdue against Ohio State. Purdue lost that game in a big part. They missed free throws, and a lot of them. And Ohio State took advantage and won that matchup.
Yeah.
It becomes huge in close games.
Yeah, and it's understandable that they shot a lot of. It seems like they shot a lot of threes, or more than they probably should have throughout their games. But it's understandable because they lost their guy last year, Lamar Stevens.
Right.
He was
trying
their
to
guy.
find a new guy.
So
that's the biggest part.
Guys trying to find their way. That's fine, and find a new coach that's going to help these guys grow. I like.
If this coach is being brought in to help them kind of develop their shooting, that could be a good thing as long as they keep that defensive mindset that they had with Lamar Stevens.
And before we go into our brackets here, you were talking about the Big Ten tournament. Is there any takeaways you had on it, or?
Michigan's in trouble without Livers.
It's going to be hard for them.
They're in big trouble if he can't get back quick. I think you saw it against Ohio State. It was a close game, but Ohio State was also without one of their players who got injured in the first half. And then going down the stretch, they had two guys go out with fouls. I think it was Liddell and Washington. They're too big, really point scorers.
And
both
going
got out of that game.
Yeah.
Late in it, and Ohio State still closed out the victory. I think Michigan's in trouble. I think they are a potential upset early on in this tournament. I think Purdue can be a lethal competitor. Expect them to have a big run, and expect Illinois to run the table. They have a lot of good chances, especially with that Kofi Cogburn down on the inside. He is phenomenal. I mean, he was eating up that paint. He is huge. And then they also have Ayo Dosunmu. He just recreated the old Kobe Bryant photo with the NBA trophy. He did it with the Big Ten championship in the showers.
That's pretty cool.
He's good too. He's a good scorer. This team has depth, which is something you look for in the tournament. They got that solid starting five. They got a big, and they can produce a lot of points. And they can run momentum.
Yeah, and going back to Michigan, they were able to keep it close with Ohio State, but as you know, Ohio State down the stretch in most games tends to kind of let teams back into it.
Yeah.
So with Michigan doing that without one of their best players, I don't think that was impressive at all.
No.
Because Ohio State lets teams back into games.
I mean, credit to Ohio State in those last two games. They started getting tired. I think you saw it in the Illinois game when they went down 20 early on, came back, put it within 5 at halftime, I think it was, and then ran it deep into the overtime matchup. I mean, that was phenomenal back and forth action right in that game. I saw in the March Madness standings, somebody had them ranked all the way back. Ohio State ranked all the way back at 10th, and I'm like, nah.
In what? I
think it was 24/7 Sports.
Oh, okay.
Had them ranked 10th in a power rankings. They had them back at 10th, and I'm like, nah, this team's got talent. This team's got potential because you saw it a lot in the tournament.
Yeah.
They were inconsistent in every area, yet they were still able to dominate one of the best conferences the best conference of basketball.
And even down the stretch when they lost those 4 in a row, they played probably the 4 best teams besides them in the Big Ten.
Right.
So they lost those 4 straight, but then they were able to bounce back in the Big Ten tournament and, got to the title game.
You saw it against Michigan. I think it was the 3-point shooting was faulty, and that hurt them a lot. And I think that was the same thing in the Purdue game. They weren't doing good. Actually, in that Purdue game, when they let Purdue back into that game, there was one point they had 2 made shots in the fourth quarter, and there was under 8 minutes to go. They hadn't made a shot in over 20 minutes, and were still leading by double digits in that game. So Ohio State, even when they are playing their worst, are still better.
They're still in games, too.
Still in games. They don't lose games by much.
No, they don't, and that's one of the strong suits. That's something you got to look for going down the tournament. One, that's going to tire them out if they can't close out early. If they let everybody come back in, it's going to start wearing down on their mindset. But I think with the road that they can go in this tournament, they can kind of roll the table and probably get some good matchups. I think this season, the 2 seeds have an easier ride to the finals than the 1s.
I definitely agree.
I agree.
That's why I was like, Ohio State got the 2 seed, and I was like, you know what, I'm okay with that. There's a lot of teams up there in that higher ranking of the bracket, and I was like, ooh, I would not want the Buckeyes to go against them early on.
Yeah, looking at their part of the bracket, Ohio State, I guess we'll start talking about some of these matchups before we go into our predictions, but Ohio State's side, there's a lot of good teams on that side.
I mean, Virginia Tech and Florida, Arkansas, and Texas Tech and Utah State. I mean, that entire group. Don't count out Colgate either. They could pull off the upset against Arkansas. They've only had 15 games this season. They're 14-1. I mean, they're a good team. I think the only one that really doesn't have a good matchup is Oral Roberts, and that's obviously the first one. So it's supposed to be the 2 versus 15 easy matchup. But Ohio State has been consistently bad in the tournament, and a second-round mess-up against Florida or Virginia Tech could mean the end of the Buckeye season.
Yeah.
And it's happened before.
So out of the 1 seeds, I mean, a lot of people have been talking about this on ESPN and all that, but out of the 1 seeds, which one could potentially be upset the first?
The first?
I'd say probably Michigan.
I got Baylor, actually.
I'd say Michigan. If they had Isaiah Livers, it'd be a different story. I wouldn't say Michigan because they have one of the best offenses in the country with Livers.
Yeah, but I think you saw it in the game against Ohio State. Without Livers, they started struggling down the stretch. When they needed points, they didn't have anyone to go to.
Yeah, they had moments, but they're, like you said, they're missing their guy, and they have nobody to go to down the stretch.
Yeah.
They just kind of had to pull together.
I think their defense is strong enough that they'll be able to hold on just a little while. And I think Baylor actually goes down early to either UNC or Wisconsin in the second round. I have Baylor going in a second-round exit. I have not been impressed with
Carolina.
I have
UNC or Wisconsin.
I have Michigan going down too. LSU beating them.
I have that matchup as well.
But if they had Livers, I wouldn't have done that.
No,
if Michigan has Livers, they're a Final Four team.
Yeah,
definitely.
But he makes that much of a difference to this team's offense. I can't put them that far.
I mean, right now I have 2 number 1s, but if Michigan had Livers, I would have both number 1s on that side of the bracket with Gonzaga and Michigan. But it's just hard with. I mean, he's their guy, Livers. I mean, like you said, he keeps their offense together, and they're still a good offense with him, but they're an elite offense with him.
What are some other matchups you guys are going towards that's potential upsets, biggest, kind of like, ooh.
If you're going that second round, I don't. VCU.
Let's stick with first rounds, just because those are the ones that are actually set.
Mine, I had Ohio taking down Virginia.
Ohio.
We all actually picked Ohio.
I picked Ohio.
Just so you guys know how we're going to be doing this, we've all filled out our own personal brackets before the show. Then during the show today, we're going to go down and create the official Casual Sports Podcast bracket, which will obviously be the most accurate. Yeah. We're going to put this together, the 3 of us, all arguing every single game to pick out our champion, the Casual Sports champion.
And before we go into these other matchups, we have to pick our first 4.
Yeah. So our first 4.
How about
we all the same, right?
How about maybe Winthrop over Villanova? Maybe.
Well, how about we do our first 4, and then we'll get into that.
Yeah.
First 4, I have App State, Drake, Texas Southern, and Michigan State.
I think we all have the same, right? Or you got St. Mary's?
I get St. Mary's.
Right. Well, Matt was weird and picked St. Mary's.
Between these 4 here, I told you guys before the show, Michigan State is good, and they're better than what their record is.
Yeah.
They're not
UCLA is a dangerous team, though. They can't underestimate.
They are. That's probably the best out of the first 4 matchups. But I think if Michigan State gets in, they're not going to make any noise or anything. But they can be a tough out.
I actually have Michigan State beating BYU in round.
I have it too.
I think I might.
I have it too. Let's not talk too much about this.
We'll go down to our personalized matchups.
Yeah.
But an upset that I have, actually, I don't think you guys do. I have UCSB upsetting Creighton, the 5 versus 12 out of the West.
I was tempted with that one.
I actually also have UCSB beating Ohio in the second round and have them moving on to the Sweet 16.
And for all you guys listening, UCSB. the 5v12 matchups in the 4v13, is that what it? Yeah. Those are 2 where you're going to find your big upsets. Like the small teams beating up on this. Beating a bigger team.
I actually have picked 3 out of the 4 12 seeds to beat the 5 seed. The only 5 seed that I have winning was Tennessee, and that's because they're facing Oregon State. I like that matchup better. I have Winthrop beating Villanova. I have UCSB beating Creighton, and I picked Georgetown and Patrick Ewing to beat Colorado.
I was going to do that too, but I didn't want to get too carried away.
I also have Maryland beating UConn.
Maybe we'll get to that when we pick our...
Yeah, we'll look into it. Yeah. I mean, I also took Utah State over the Red Raiders. I was getting bold with these predictions.
Yeah.
So I think it's time. Let's create our entire bracket.
All right.
I think we do that now. Unless you guys want to go any more into the brackets, but I feel like the people want what the people want.
Yep.
So
let's unveil it.
We're taking App State over Gonzaga.
So do you want to do the first 4 first?
Yeah, we'll do the first 4.
Okay, so App State versus
Norfolk State.
I took App State.
Fans, people just relax because it's going to take a minute.
Right.
So just hang in
sit
with
down.
us.
This is the most entertaining part of the show.
You'll
so
probably
just stick
hear
with
some
us.
yelling.
That's why we put it first.
All right, so I think we're all in App State for
Yeah.
that round. And
Okay.
then the next one, Wichita State versus Drake. I like Drake in this one.
like
I
Drake,
think
too.
Drake is good. I think they had a couple tough losses against the Sister Jean group. Loyola Chicago got to them. But other than that, they've been solid.
All right, next up we got Mount St. Mary's taking on Texas Southern. I got Texas Southern in this matchup. I like them. Matt, what about you?
Individually, I picked St. Mary's, but I mean, I was looking. I think
I had Texas Southern.
I
As
think
well.
I think Texas Southern can actually do it.
That's what I've got going as well. Okay, final matchup there: Michigan State versus UCLA.
I mean, you guys heard what I said about Michigan State, so that's where I'm going.
I'm okay with Michigan State. In
I'm
that one.
okay with Michigan State too.
All right, well, let's get down to the actual bracket.
All
So,
right.
our first matchup, we're rolling with the 1 seed of Gonzaga going up against Appalachian
Oh,
State,
you know it.
taking the Zags.
No, App State, man, all the way. Hey, they upset.
Only one 16 seed has ever
Yep.
won, and that was the UMBC Golden Retrievers against Virginia.
Yep.
Was that 3 years ago?
I think
Because there wasn't a tournament last year, and then
Yeah.
the year before that, Virginia won. So Virginia still was a reigning champ after not playing last year.
Yeah,
After 2 years ago, they're
and
still
we
the
had
reigning
them,
champ.
and you had them losing in the first round to Ohio.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying they're still the defending champ. I'm not saying that they're going to make. Yeah.
Yeah, we all picked Virginia
Yeah.
to lose in the first
Yeah.
round in our personal lives.
Oh well, there you
Yeah.
go.
Hey, man, App State beat Michigan in football like 15 years ago.
2007, I think, or 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was in the mid 2000s,
Yeah.
and this is a different sport.
Yeah.
So.
All right, we're taking the Zags number
Yes.
1. All right, next up, number 8 Oklahoma versus number 9 Missouri. This one's probably one of
I
our
know.
early on best matchups.
I got.
Big 12
I don't know, man.
SEC, Big
I
12
took the
second best conference.
I
in
took the
basketball this
Sooners,
year.
but Missouri.
I like
is a good team.
Missouri. I think Missouri can do it. What do
The
you
Big
think?
12 right now, second best conference in
Yeah.
basketball. I've got to go with the Sooners.
Yeah, you go Sooners.
That's where I went.
Why are you leaning towards Missouri?
I don't know. Just I don't know. They have a decent record. I mean, they're 9 and Oklahoma's 8. You know, those 8-9 seeds. They can either go either way.
Missouri's in a
it's
good
a
conference,
real
though.
flippy flop thing.
It's
Um,
Missouri isn't a good conference.
I mean, they're both in a good conference.
Missouri.
Missouri
we've seen
lost
Oklahoma-
to Arkansas in the second round of the SEC tournament, 74-60, but they beat Georgia 73-70 early
Okay.
on. Missouri was not a very high seed in the SEC tournament; they were all the way back at 7. So was Oklahoma, though, in the Big 12. They beat Iowa State 79-73, then lost in a 7-point game against number 2 Kansas, who I believe is a 4 seed.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe they are somewhere. They are.
Yeah.
Mostly because I
they're in
picked
the
them
West.
because Missouri. You don't see Missouri a lot in this tournament. You see Oklahoma here, more than Missouri. But all right, I'll go with you.
You
guys.
go Sooners?
Yeah, I'll go Sooners.
All right, next one up, the first 5v12 matchup, 20-8, Creighton taking on the 22-4 UCSB.
I had Creighton, but
I had Creighton, but
I was-
you were talking about this team. You did research.
I looked them up.
They're in a bad conference.
we didn't know what
but
the name was. So that's
They're
why
in a
we looked
bad
them up.
conference.
Well,
but
here's-
so is Gonzaga, just like you said.
Here's my thought on this. You look
Gonzaga's
at the
not a
Big
bad
East
conference,
tournament
guys.
look at the Big East tournament that Creighton just came out of. They just lost their last game. They lost to Georgetown 73-48. Got murdered by them.
Wait, what
I mean
happened?
that happens. It's a conference game. They were third game of the tournament against Georgetown, who was on a phenomenal
Ooh.
run to end their season.
Yeah.
But Creighton slowed down a little at the end of the season. They did have some really big games. They lost to Villanova. They're ranked 19th in the APs. It's a real flip-flop game, but UCSB, I kind of was liking the way they were looking. Definitely a smaller conference,
Yeah.
but they've got a lot of good going for them. They came out of the Big West, so Big East versus Big West early on. Who's the bigger area? I got the Midwest.
in terms of this matchup, I had Creighton, but like I said, you got to pick one of these 5v12s or 4v13s, and I think
it's called March Madness for a reason.
We're gonna see some madness. So let me just take you through the last few games for UCSB in the Big West. Won by 16 in the championship against UC Irvine. Then against UC Davis in the semifinal, they won it by 16 as well. And then their first game against Long Beach State, they won that one by 8. Before that, the tournament, they won by 16 and 14 in their 2 prior games. So they're rolling hot right now. They got a lot of momentum. That's why I like UCSB. I don't think Creighton's a bad decision, though. I mean, they've been there before. They had experience. They're in the top 25.
Yeah.
Had a good season. But what worries me is that last loss to Georgetown.
Yeah.
A 25-point loss in your Big East championship. That's what worries me about this team.
What is their mindset? Georgetown's no scrub, but it was to Georgetown, too. And they weren't, picked to win the Big East
Georgetown
tournament.
was the 8th seed in the Big East.
Yeah.
Rolled it with Patrick Ewing, who lit a fire into that team.
Yeah.
After that win over Villanova.
Right. I mean Creighton also, before their regular season ended, they won by 20 against Butler. It was a good game, but they lost by 12 in the previous night before that to Villanova.
Georgetown, if they didn't win that tournament, if they didn't win their conference tournament, they weren't getting in.
Right.
Because they're
and Ewing knew that.
Yeah, their record is 13-12.
Right, not the best record, but they were able to run the table.
Yeah.
That's what the tournament's meant for.
You got to get hot at the right time going into the tournament and keep staying hot throughout.
All of Creighton's momentum is gone. I don't think they're hot.
Okay.
That's why we got the matchup.
You want to roll with that upset then?
I think this is the first upset we got to roll with.
Okay.
I think we roll with it.
All right.
We're taking UCSB.
My personal ones, I got Creighton going to Sweet 16.
All right.
Next but this isn't anything.
Number 4, Virginia taking on number 13, Ohio. This one's a good matchup. Ohio, winners of the MAC. They did it in good fashion, too. Virginia, though, obviously defending national champions. They're a good team.
From 2 years ago.
From 2 years ago. So, obviously, a very different team than they were 2 years ago.
Yeah. But they had COVID issues.
They did have COVID issues this season.
COVID issues.
They currently do right now.
Records are similar, but Virginia's playing the ACC. Ohio's playing in the MAC. Personally, I took Ohio. I know we all took Ohio.
Yeah.
I think Virginia wins it, though.
I like Ohio. They got some scores. They're playing well. They dominated that
which we almost
MAC championship game, but then they let the team back in.
Yeah. I almost bought tickets to go to the MAC championship up in Cleveland.
Oh, nice.
I thought about it. I was like, nah, they're a little bit too much. I didn't think it was going to be close, so.
But that's why I'm going with Ohio. And I want to pick one of these local teams between them, Cleveland State. Or not Ohio State.
This is a 4v13. This is a big difference here.
But you got to pick one of these.
Yeah, but this is Virginia we're talking about. Defending national champs. Matt, I think you're the tiebreaker here. Virginia, Ohio.
I gotta go Cavaliers here.
You're going Virginia?
Yeah.
That's fair.
Just
any last minute, fight there, Mike?
I'm just saying, but other than what I've said, they're playing hot. They got some scores. They got some shooters. But you got to pick one of these matchups. That's the one I'm going with. Me personally.
All right, but I think we're in a Virginia side.
I get it. I'm not saying that won't happen, but.
All right, next one we got
USC versus Drake. My own personal matchup, I actually took Drake in this one.
Drake is tough.
Drake is a tough squad. They got the win against Loyola, who has shown to be a good team. Yeah. Loyola earning the 8th seed. They're above
they beat
ACC
him by
champion,
1.
Georgia Tech 9.
They did beat him by 1, and Loyola took them 2 out of 3.
Yeah, but Drake was close in those games.
Yeah.
I
not the first
matchup,
one.
But
Loyola blew him out the first one.
Any thoughts on this one, Mike, for USC?
You guys both had Drake?
I did take Drake personal.
I have USC, my personal one.
USC just lost by 2 to Colorado. Before that, they picked up the win against Utah. They have a win over UCLA by 1 and the regular season. They beat Stanford by 37 in the regular season. And before that, their last loss in regular season would have been on February 27th against Utah on a 10-point loss.
USC, I'm going with. That's who I picked in mine. They've had some losses in the Pac-12, but they've also had some good wins. I like the Mobley brothers.
Yeah.
I don't even know.
I like the Mobley brothers. I gotta go Trojans here.
I'll go Trojans too.
Yeah, because Drake could give him a fight, but I don't even know if Drake's gonna be playing.
But hey, just because we pick him doesn't mean this upset won't happen.
Well,
You
I
know,
think they know that, Matt. It's March
like,
Madness. We're not
I
going to
know,
be
like,
completely right.
and
Actually, no. This
just because
this
I
is the
picked
only correct bracket.
That's gonna be 100% right.
right.
Just
Just the one we
bec-
don't turn in.
Just because I pick a team doesn't mean I won't root against the team. I root for the team that I didn't pick. So
Obviously.
So
I think maybe I throw this on a CBS's website. Just pick one of them. Just say, hey man, if this one ends up being right, who knows? Next matchup, Kansas City, or not Kansas City. Yes, the Chiefs of Kansas
Chiefs.
City. I've got the 3 seed Kansas taking on the number 14 Eastern Washington. Who do you guys like in this one?
I had
don't know.
Kansas. They had COVID
Eastern
issues too, but they got to
Washington.
win at least one
Eastern
game.
Washington looking good,
I
but
like
not good
Kansas.
enough. Go Kansas.
Jayhawks, one of the only blue blood teams actually in this.
Yeah.
Duke and Kentucky both not in the tournament.
No.
That's just crazy to think about that
Well,
neither one of
quick
those teams
stat.
are in.
I'm not going to give away. Right, just go ahead. I don't want to give anything away. Just
All
go
right.
ahead.
Next matchup, number 7 Oregon, number 10 VCU. This was
This
an
is
interesting matchup.
I was tempted to pick VCU.
Yeah,
I think
so
I
was
might
I.
as well.
I think we might.
I think in my next bracket I'm going to take VCU.
Yeah.
I
Oregon
don't
in this
think
one.
10 seeds often beat 7s. I think it's one of those matchups that normally falls towards the 7. Oregon had a pretty good end of the season, won their final 3 regular season games against Arizona, UCLA, and Oregon State. 2 of those 3 teams being in the tournament. They beat Arizona State in the first round of the Pac-12. They were the 1 seed of the Pac-12, but they lost to number 5 Oregon by 11 in that second round matchup of the Pac-12. I do like Oregon in this one. I got the Ducks.
Yeah, I have the Ducks in
I
this
have
one
the
too.
Ducks as well.
So we're taking Ducks all the way here.
Rolling with the Ducks.
Phenomenal. All right. GCU, Grand Canyon University, home of the best crowd in college basketball, as voted on, I believe it was 2 years ago, as is officially part of the NCAA tournament now. They're officially eligible. They're taking on number 2 Iowa.
Grand Canyon
Luka Garza.
Antelopes. I like that.
Yes,
The
the
Grand
Antelopes.
Canyon Antelopes.
GCU is a good team, but I don't think they got enough to pull it off.
No,
against
I
Iowa.
I think
agree.
so either.
If they were a higher seed, I think I might pick them, but they don't have their home crowd either, which is a big part of it.
Yeah,
their
they're
crowd
playing-
provides them a lot of wins.
And the thing you got to keep in mind with all these games is they're all playing in one area,
Yeah.
all in Indianapolis or throughout the state of Indiana.
Indiana is hosting March Madness. No better place to put it.
And
either.
the players, once they're done with the games, they literally are. They're basically isolated. So that's a factor with all these teams. But they're all dealing with the same thing. So we'll just see how it plays out.
And keep in mind, if a team gets COVID, they're done. I mean, that's the unpredictability of this season, I think, right now, is how is COVID going to impact March Madness? You saw it in the ACC tournament. There was a lot of issues along the East Coast. I believe it's if a player arrives to Indianapolis with COVID, they're not allowed. I think the team has to go under complete quarantine. And every player has to test negative 3 times in 2 days before they are allowed to play.
And if a team wants to withdraw from the tournament, they have by tomorrow. I believe like 6 or 7 they have to withdraw, and then they have those 4 replacement teams that you have to keep in mind.
All right, moving on to the eastern side of the bracket, we got Michigan taking on Texas Southern in the first matchup. U of M, obviously, we keep saying it without Livers, but
Michigan
think
takes
they
this one
still roll
easily,
this
I
one.
believe.
Yes.
All right, next matchup there. LSU taking on St. Bonaventure. Bonaventure actually picked up the Atlantic 10 tournament against VCU, who was the 10th seed. So we were thinking about the Oregon being upset by VCU, and now we have the team that just beat VCU taking on LSU. What are you guys thinking? LSU also in the SEC championship game against Bama.
Yeah.
I was kind of tempted about St. Bonaventure.
It wouldn't be the worst one to pick.
The only reason I picked them a couple years ago as one of my sleeper teams, but they lost in the first round, so I didn't want to do it again.
I mean, they had a good run there. They had to beat VCU in the championship. They beat St. Louis by nearly 20 in the semifinals, and before that, they beat Duquesne by almost 40 in the opening matchup of the tournament. They did lose their final regular season game to Dayton by 3. They don't have the best offense. And I think that's going to hurt them going up against LSU.
Yeah, I agree.
I got the Tigers.
And LSU, I watched
Go
that.
Tigers.
Go Tigers!
I watched that SEC championship game. LSU, they look good.
That's going to set up a great
I
matchup,
like
Michigan versus LSU.
Smart on their team. He's pretty good.
Yeah.
All right, next matchup there. Colorado v. Georgetown. Patrick Ewing and the
dude.
Hokies going up against
I
Colorado
don't
and the
know,
Pac-12
man.
champions.
I took
This is
Colorado, but
tricky.
I think Georgetown.
Georgetown's
George-
hot. They're
Yeah.
rolling.
Well, let's keep rolling with them then.
We're taking
I like this
Hokies.
Colorado team though, but
I like
Georgetown-
Colorado
Ewing, man.
did just win the Pac.
I like Ewing.
Pac-12.
I know.
I think Ewing can take them a little bit.
I feel like I have to start arguing for Colorado here.
Who'd they beat in their?
Colorado?
Yeah.
Let me
No.
grab-
Georgetown. Who'd they beat to win their conference?
Who did they beat?
Creighton.
Yeah, Creighton.
Creighton, they beat them by nearly 20. Actually, Colorado didn't win the Pac-12. Oregon State did. Colorado lost their last game against Oregon State by 2. Before that, won by 2 against USC. Won against California by only 3. You know, I'm not liking this Colorado team.
No.
I'm taking Georgetown.
I got
I'm
Georgetown.
rolling Hokies too. So
I think in my serious bracket when I do outside of the
Yeah.
show, I'm going to take Georgetown, but I took Colorado.
Depending
This
on
one.
how this one ends, I'll probably just take a picture of this one.
All right, since we took Georgetown there, number 4 versus 13. This is your upset area. We have Florida versus UNC Greensboro.
Florida State.
Florida State.
I
I don't know. Florida State's hot.
I like them. They did good in the ACC
Yeah.
tournament.
I'm not picking an upset in this one. I'm taking Florida State.
Yeah.
They say to pick at least one of those upsets, so I'm not going to do it in all of them. And I already picked one, so.
That's fair.
But did you pick
I mean,
the
Florida
right
State
one?
beat UNC by 3 and only lost by 5 to Georgia Tech. I don't know. I'll take Florida State. I'm okay giving them this one.
Yeah.
Next matchup, BYU taking on potentially Michigan State or UCLA. We took Michigan State to start this, so
I took Michigan
That's
State in
I
mine.
took Michigan State.
BYU played really good against Gonzaga in that title game, the WCC title game. I think they could win, but I was talking about Michigan a little bit, so that's why I picked Michigan. Because I think
so
they
you're
are
rolling Spartans, Matt.
Spartans.
All right, well,
they are better than what their record is.
Yeah.
I'll take Michigan State as well for
Roll
that one.
Sparty.
I don't think there's much I can argue for BYU. I think they're just kind of wrong spot at the wrong time. They're a good team. I like them. Obviously, their record shows.
I wouldn't be
they're
surprised if they
tournament.
won at all.
I would not be surprised if they won it.
But-
Michigan State, one of those 9 Big Ten teams in the thing.
Big Ten is tough.
Big Ten dominated.
Even their lower record teams like Michigan State are still good teams.
Right.
They're better than what their record is.
For sure. All right. Texas take on Abilene Christian in the 3 versus 14.
I don't know, man. Abilene Christian.
Don't be
23 and
surprised. Don't be
4, man.
surprised.
I like Texas.
I like Texas.
I picked Texas to
I'm
go to
just
the Final
joking.
Four, so that's
Horns
fine.
up. All right, we're rolling Texas here. Now UConn v Maryland 7v10. This one goes either way. UConn 15-7, Maryland
Yeah.
16-13.
I kind of wanted to take UConn,
Yeah.
but I didn't.
I got a real Big Ten here.
I'm a Big Ten homer. I feel like I let that show out a little more often. I don't know about you guys.
I like Big Ten.
I mean, Big Ten's good.
Yeah.
It's so hard to count out a Big Ten team.
It's so deep too. Like I said, even the lower record teams like Michigan State are still good teams. I picked Maryland. I kind of wanted to take UConn, but I took Maryland because they're a very tough team. Very tough team, and they were good in the tournament, the Big Ten tournament. They had some bad losses, but they also had some good wins.
I mean, they have a 16-point win against Georgetown to end out their regular season. They won by 11 against Seton Hall, by 18 against Marquette. I mean, their only loss was in the Big East tournament to Creighton by 3. Before that, they beat DePaul by 34 to open up the Big East tournament. They had a strong end of the season. They have their last loss was nearly a month ago on February 20th, where they lost by 8 to Villanova. I got UConn actually.
UConn?
They are hot right now, and they don't
Who do you have?
really seem to be slowing down.
I had Maryland, but I
Okay.
wanted to take UConn,
I mean, the Huskies, their women's program knows how to win
Yeah.
it.
and they've done it in the past in the men's tournament.
Yeah.
They won a national title when they weren't like a favorite.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
like
I remember.
UConn in
I
this
remember
matchup.
with Kemba Walker.
Yeah.
All right.
UConn and Maryland.
In mine, I picked Maryland, but I'm gonna go with UConn.
Okay.
UConn.
All right. We'll go
UConn.
Huskies.
We're going UConn.
All right.
UConn, do it. All right. Alabama taking on Iona, the SEC champions
Rick
versus
Pitino,
Iona.
Rick Pitino.
Roll Tide.
I'm rolling.
Only time I'm ever going to say that in my life.
But hey, hats off to Rick Pitino getting back in with Iona, though. He kind of fell off after the whole Louisville thing.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, moving on to the South Division here. First matchup, Baylor versus Hartford. I think the Bears take this one handedly.
Yep.
Mike, any objections?
No, not at all.
Just had to check it. This one, probably one of the best, if not the best, first round matchup, UNC versus Wisconsin.
I took Wisconsin. They have some good shooters.
They
really shot very team. Well. In the game I saw them play against Penn State in the Big Ten tournament, their shooters are very good.
Yeah, they had some good shooters.
But so does Carolina. And
UNC lost to Florida State. They won by 8 against VT. Beat Notre Dame in the ACC tournament by 46.
Ooh.
Beat Duke by 18, and then lost on the first to Syracuse by 2. UNC a very up and down team. Do you think they bounce back up, or do you got Badgers?
I have Badgers.
I gotta go North Carolina.
Ooh, all right. Well, let me look in a little bit deeper here. If we got a split right now,
got to break it.
Yeah, and I can't just be going out on a limb here. I'm better than that.
Gotta roll with the boys.
Badgers lost by 5 to Iowa. Only beat Penn State by 1.
Yeah.
They let Penn State back
after that game.
Wisconsin has won 1 of their last 5. I'm going UNC.
Let's do it. The boys in light blue.
Powder blue, I believe.
Powder
is the
blue.
specific
Powder
color.
blue.
Carolina blue.
Carolina blue.
All right. I mean, if you look at Wisconsin's a good team. They're a close team, but they have not been able to close it out. They had some tough matchups to end the season as well. They had to go up against Illinois, number 2 team in the country, lost by 5. Then they lost to Purdue by 4, lost to Iowa by 4, then only beat Penn State by 1. So I think their confidence is a little rattled, and then they lost by 5 to Iowa. I think they're just a little rattled, and I don't think they pull it out. That's where I got that.
It's fair.
I remember.
Another 5v12, Villanova versus Winthrop. We've picked 2 5v12s to do it. Do we get a third 5v12 upset?
I don't have one.
I don't know.
Nova's a good team. Winthrop 23-1 on the season, though.
I mean, I think it'll be a challenge, but I like Villanova.
Nova is a really good team.
They are.
If you look at the end of the season, though, out of the Big South, Winthrop, in the championship game, won by nearly 30 points, won by 20 in the semifinal, and won by 29 in the quarterfinal. Have back-to-back wins in the regular season. I mean, this team is strong. Their last loss on January 29th by 2 points to UNC Asheville.
But can they handle Villanova?
I mean, that's probably the big question. Can they go up against a team like Villanova?
2-time champ. They've been there, I mean, recently, last how many years now?
Every year.
Yeah, I mean, Villanova lost by 1 point to Georgetown in the first round upset.
That's what got Georgetown going in the title run.
Villanova lost their last game of the season to Providence. They did beat Creighton by 12. Lost to Butler before that. So they were kind of going up and down at the end of the season. Could not beat Creighton at all.
I don't know.
I'm liking Winthrop.
I like Winthrop.
But we've already taken two 12s.
I don't know.
Mike, you don't like them?
I like Villanova.
I'll roll Nova.
Okay. PA team.
Are they really?
Yeah, they're in Pennsylvania.
I don't know why I didn't know that.
I don't know why I know that.
All right, well, we got the Mean Green of North Texas taking on Purdue over the Big Ten.
I got the Boilermakers.
Boilermakers.
You know it. Boilermakers.
Boilermakers to the Boilermakers.
Yeah, we remember that one. That was the start of a horrible night.
Horrible.
Well.
Yeah. All right, next matchup.
I thought too much about that.
About what? Texas Tech versus Utah State. Texas Tech, Utah State, a 6 versus 11. This one actually should be a good matchup.
I got Utah State.
Mike loves his Red Raiders, but you just said Utah State.
I like Utah State.
Ooh, I like Utah State in this one as well. 20-8 versus 17-10.
Utah State.
Utah State all the way. No, maybe.
Next
one, Colgate got the bid there, 14-1, going up against Arkansas, 22-6. This is a 3v14 matchup. Colgate's a good team, but I don't think they have the weapons to compete.
I don't think they do. Arkansas is good. I like Moses Moody. I think Arkansas.
Arkansas takes it. All right, 7v10, Florida versus Virginia Tech of the ACC. ACC's had some COVID problems. Florida's coming out of the SEC. Had a decent year. They're 14-9. Matt said Florida. What about you, Mike?
I got the Gators.
All right, I'll take Gators too. And then big matchup here. The Ohio State University taking on Oral Roberts. 2v15. I got the Buckeyes.
I got the Buckeyes as well.
I don't know.
2v15 upsets don't happen very often.
Hard decision. That Oral Roberts team. I don't know. Pretty good.
I already wrote down Ohio State.
Yeah.
16-10. I mean, no. Ohio State.
All right, moving on to the Midwest here. Continuing the first round matchups.
There's another one.
Illinois is taking on Drexel.
There's another one, man.
Illinois.
Drexel, 12-7. I don't know, man. I think they got a chance.
I already wrote down Illinois.
Just do it to be stupid.
You know it. You know who I'm picking this next one, so don't even
Loyola Chicago versus Georgia Tech.
Let's go! Run it back!
Sister Jean's Matt's imaginary girlfriend.
Hey.
You wish.
I got the Yellow Jackets.
You know. I got her socks at home.
I know you do. Georgia Tech, they won it against Florida State. I like them. They're pretty good.
They just won their conference.
Mm-hmm.
I just said the one they just had. I went out with the Yellow Jackets.
Let me see. They have a good win against Virginia Tech. They did lose to Clemson in Virginia in back-to-back games. And they've taken back-to-back losses against Virginia and Duke this season.
The Ramblers.
And that's just like in the last month and a half. I don't think this team really shows up in the biggest of games. Obviously, they turned around in the tournament. They only had to play twice due to COVID. They got a 4-point win against number 13 ACC team, Miami. And then only had to take on number 2 Florida State. But you like the Yellow Jackets, Mike?
And as you said, rolling into the tournament, they're rolling. So is Loyola, but I like Georgia Tech.
They're led by Loyola. Has those 2 players from that Final Four team. They were freshmen. Cameron Krutwig. He was Missouri Valley Defensive Player of the Year. And they have... Oh, that's a big one.
I mean, their last loss came back on the 14th of February to Drake in a 1-point loss. But before that, to go back to their last loss, you have to go all the way back to January 10th in a 5-point loss against Indiana State.
Yeah.
I got Loyola. They've been hot this last half of the season.
That's fair.
They rank first in the country in scoring defense.
That's big in the tournament.
Yeah.
If they can keep that rolling, obviously. The offenses they've had to face are not as good.
55 points per game.
All right, next matchup. We took Loyola with Mike's better judgment. We have another 5v12 matchup. Tennessee versus Oregon State. What do you guys think?
I got the Beavers, yeah.
Another OSU. I don't know about that.
Well, there's only one real one.
Ohio State.
This is a 5v12 I had to pick, so I liked Oregon State.
Yeah.
Oregon State won the Pac-12. That's how they got into this tournament. They were the 5th seed in the Pac. They rolled it in the tournament. Before that, though, they did lose to Oregon just before in their final final game of the season by 13. Beat Utah by 5. I don't know. This is such a team that is semi-inconsistent. I mean, they lost to Colorado.
Yeah, I mean, they are kind of a little weird, but...
Matt, you went Beavers as well?
I had to pick one of them.
Huh? Yeah, I'd go Beavers.
Even if I pick the Volunteers, I'm still down in votes. So it looks like we're rolling with the other OSU.
The Beavers.
Another OSU coming up here.
Yeah.
Next OSU, Oklahoma State taking on Liberty. I've got Oklahoma State and
Cade Cunningham. Holy cow.
I got Oklahoma State going far, so obviously I took on this one.
Yeah.
All right, next matchup, San Diego State and Syracuse.
San Diego State was that team last year where they ranked like 4th.
Yeah, they were hot last season.
They were one of the top teams.
And I think they got all their players. So I think they got all their players back. I think COVID just killed them last year. I mean,
they still finished 23-4.
Yeah.
Now they're going up against the Syracuse, who's 16-9.
I
got SD State.
Yeah, me too.
As well.
All right.
The Aztecs, right?
Just a quick note, like some of these lower seeded teams, they're not like real. There's not that many small schools like you usually see.
No.
Like, you got Syracuse that's an 11 seed. You got some of these bigger schools that are kind of lower seeds, so that's something else to look out for. What's the next matchup?
Next one up, West Virginia versus Morehead State, a 3-14.
I got
18-9 Mountaineers, 23-7 Morehead State.
I got Huggy Bear and the Mountaineers.
You got the Mountaineers. What about you, Mike?
Same here.
Going WVU. I'll roll WVU here. Clemson versus Rutgers. This one's a good matchup, 7v10. Talk about this one for a minute.
I got the Scarlet Knights.
I got Rutgers here. I say they upset.
You got Rutgers?
Yeah. Rutgers, man.
I'll take the Scarlet Knights.
Ron Harper Jr.
Now this one, Houston, a really good team. They've earned the 2 seed, beat Cincinnati in the AAC championship game in epic fashion. Dominated the Bearcats. I got Houston going over to Cleveland State.
I got
Houston
Cleveland State, man.
Well, we're going.
Houston's a very good team.
No, they're over. Didn't YSU actually beat Cleveland State once this year?
Potentially.
I don't
They played like
check.
how many times, so they probably did once.
Yeah. That would be cool, though, if YSU would have got in. We'd probably be going to that game. I'd find a way. But, yeah, I got Houston.
All right.
Yeah, Houston, what was the final score in their championship game? Didn't they, wasn't it a rout?
They destroyed Cincy. Yeah.
I mean, they're on a roll right now.
All right, well, we have finished the round of 64. Now we go a little bit quicker here. These are our matchups, so your brackets could look completely different from ours, and they probably will. This one is some of our upsets that we've picked. I believe we picked all but one 12 seed to upset the 5, and that was Villanova, the only 5 seed to win. So keep that in mind when you're filling out your brackets, what we thought of there. We also split the 6 versus 11s 2-2 in that way. But let's get on second round matchup, round of 32. We got the Zags taking on Oklahoma in the first round. Did the 26-0 team remain undefeated and move on to the Sweet 16?
I got Gonzaga.
I got Zags.
Zags taking it once more. All right. UCSB versus the reigning champions, Virginia. Mike, you wanted Ohio in this position, but we got Virginia instead against UCSB. What do you think?
I would have took Virginia if this was my matchup.
Well, I mean, this is our matchup here.
Well, yeah, but
Yeah.
because I don't have that, but if I'm taking Virginia in that matchup.
Matt? Virginia, UCSB.
Ooh.
My vote's on UCSB. I like them. They're my Cinderella right now.
Okay.
So
But-
I'm the.
Matt,
I'm the
you're the
tie.
tiebreaker here. Go either way.
You know how I love my Cinderella teams, right?
You do love Cinderella.
Hey.
Who's wearing the glass slipper this year, Matt? If I forget your name one more time during
Two
the
M
show,
names. It's hard to mix it up.
You know what?
right? You guys are lucky. You only have to remember one.
What's
Yeah.
what's their mascot?
Who?
The USC.
UCSB?
Yeah.
Is that how you're gonna pick it?
Maybe.
Some people do
Well, I
that.
gotta know the mascot of the team before I pick them. I don't even know what.
Well, it's University of California, Santa Barbara Gachos. They're the Gachos. They're the Gachos, bro.
Well,
You gotcha go with them.
yeah, we gotcha.
So you're going UCSB?
Yeah, I'll go upset.
Ooh, all right.
Now, do you really believe this could happen?
Yes, I think UCSB is a team that can
Okay.
roll it this season.
Okay.
I like them. USC taking on Kansas 6v3, 22-7. USC taking on the 20-8 Kansas Jayhawks. Do the blue bloods of Kansas take this one? I think I'd roll with Kansas in this matchup. I like them better. What about you, Mike?
I gotta go Kansas.
We had USC, right?
Yeah, Kansas versus USC.
I had USC,
But
2 versus 1. Gotta go with you guys.
So the Jayhawks moving on to the Sweet 16 once again. This one should, if this ends up happening, it'll be a great matchup. We have Oregon versus Iowa.
I had Iowa in mind.
I think Luka Garza is a pretty good player.
Very good player.
But
He's been slipping down the stretch, though.
that
He hasn't. He kind of
and
has, but
he's like the only good. Like without him, like he's like Livers to Michigan. If he's not playing good, he's not playing at all. I don't think they're gonna run it very far. And he has been playing down. So I gotta go Oregon, man.
Taking Oregon.
I had Iowa, but
That puts me in the tiebreaker situation.
I'm not sold on Oregon.
I'm not sorting Oregon either. I'm going Iowa.
Okay. It's tricky there.
I mean, this is the tournament. This is what it's
Yeah.
for. All right. Now moving on to the East. Michigan, LSU. One of the biggest matchups. The biggest question mark is obviously Livers for Michigan.
If Livers
and
is in it-
this is only in a week. This game will be on March 22nd, so it's a week from where we're recording this on the 15th. And right now, he's out indefinitely. Indefinitely does not sound like a week-long injury. It's a stress injury on his foot. He says he has been playing on it this season. He believes he's been playing on it the past 4 games. He says it hasn't really been hurting, but he has been advised not to play. He was supposed to go into the draft last year, elected to stay.
Yeah.
So he's a big part of this team. Obviously, Michigan's still got Franz Wagner and a lot of other really great players on that team. We said it last week's show is one of the deepest teams in college basketball. That was Mike's words. One of the deepest teams. That depth is going to help them here.
Yeah.
Matt, I know you really like this LSU team, but I'm going Michigan.
Okay.
What about you, Mike?
I think even without Livers, they could win this game.
They could.
But I took LSU because I want
So
to
who
throw
you
something in there.
going
But
with
I in this one I think I go Michigan even without
Michigan?
Livers.
Okay.
Just give us your thoughts.
I think they are really still a good team without Wagner.
Well,
Or without
won't-
Wagner, without Livers.
Yeah.
So
With-
I
Without
won't say go
Livers-
anything, but I'll take...
Without Livers, they're still good offensively, but with him, they're elite. With him in their offense,
but
but
you never know though. Yeah, but I gotta go Michigan right here.
it's a team that really put up a good fight against Ohio State. That's
They
why
did.
I'm taking Mitch.
LSU can fight too.
I would not be surprised.
Yeah.
In my own personal bracket, I have LSU versus Bama to decide
I
the
have
Elite Eight for
in
the
my
East.
personal, I have LSU losing in the championship. So
Well, you now have them as a second round exit.
yeah.
So
well, this bracket I
something's
just
going to be right.
did- This bracket here, I just did for fun. Yeah. Hey,
Big matchup. Georgetown, Florida State. I just got in from Twitter. Georgetown has been picked as one of the favorites to run the table. One of the Cinderella
Yeah,
favorites.
I understand.
So keep that in mind as we go through this pick. The other teams on it was UNC, UConn, USC, and Georgetown. We already eliminated USC. They lost to Kansas. So just keep those teams in mind as we move forward. Georgetown, FSU. What are you guys thinking? I'm not sold on the Seminoles. I like the Hokies and Patrick Ewing. I'm taking Georgetown.
I gotta go old school Ewing, man.
You're going Ewing. Mike, you could potentially flip me, though.
I'm not going to.
You're going Georgetown?
Yeah.
Patrick Ewing, didn't he lead them when he played for them? Didn't he lead them to the championship?
Yeah.
Yeah, they did win a title when he was
Yeah.
there.
Did they
I
win a
think it's their
title
only
or
one.
did they?
I think it's their only championship there was under
Did
Ewing.
they beat-
Yeah, I mean, they've
I
had
think
some
they
good
beat-
players, but no titles. I mean,
I
they had
think
Allen
they beat-
Iverson.
Yeah.
I think they beat the Phi Slamma Jamma.
Well, let's keep it rolling on here. Michigan State going up against Texas. Michigan State, one of those first 4 teams we had, winning that matchup against UCLA and then beating BYU. Now going up against the number 3 seeded Texas.
I think their run ends here. I think Texas beats them.
I got Texas as well, horns up.
Yep.
Well, here's one of those teams that was posed to run the table. UConn taking on number 2 Bama. The Crimson Tide.
Oh, I had
The
Alabama.
Huskies. I got Bama.
Bama.
I told you off before over the weekend. I like this Alabama team. They're very good.
All right, over on the south side, round of 32, Baylor versus UNC. My personal bracket, I got UNC taking this victory here. I like their squad better. I said it before, they were one of the favorites to run the table as one of the Cinderella teams. I have not been sold on Baylor this season. They may have only lost twice. When I have seen them, I have not been impressed with the way they've played. That's why I've got UNC taking this one. Mike?
I'm not sold on Baylor, but I think they go farther than that, so I'm going Baylor.
You're going Baylor. Matt, you are the tiebreaker. Baylor, UNC, the 1 seed or the 8 seed? I mean, Baylor, regular season conference champion and the second best conference in basketball. Or UNC, one of the blue bloods.
I gotta go UNC. I'm riding the train. I don't think Baylor's all that.
UNC pulling off the upset. So both Georgetown, UCSB, and UNC all in the Sweet 16. So who goes dancing here? This one goes great. Villanova, Purdue to the Sweet 16. Probably one of our biggest matchups to date so far.
Yeah, if this ends up being a matchup,
I mean, this is a 4v5 in the second round. This is March Madness right here.
I had Purdue winning. I know I was talking good about Villanova, but I like Purdue.
I like Purdue.
I like the Boilermakers. I feel like it's Drew Brees' day, so
yeah.
We're taking Purdue.
I have a shirt on, so.
Holy Buckeye. Utah State versus Arkansas. This one should be an interesting matchup. Number 11, Utah State taking on number 3, Arkansas. I like the Razorbacks.
Razorbacks.
Now, this one should be a good matchup, depending on how Ohio State plays in this one. Ohio State, the number 2 seed, taking on the number 7, Florida. I got the Buckeyes rolling to the Sweet 16.
I had the Buckeyes in this one, and I'm going to go with them here.
Can we put it on record? Mike has now picked Ohio State twice. Just putting that out there.
Look for what happens next.
Well, I'm hoping I still got two votes. Here comes Matt's favorite group, the Loyola Chicago. What are their names?
The Ramblers.
Ramblers, that's what it is.
They beat Illinois, I know that.
Illinois Fighting Illini. I've got the Fighting Illini.
Who you got, Mike?
Illinois.
Okay. I really hate to say it.
You can pick Loyola. You're just still outvoted.
I know.
Yeah, don't base it off me.
I'm not. But Illinois is just really good.
They are phenomenal.
They are very good.
I think Illinois is the best team in basketball.
They just got put in the wrong...
That's a fair statement.
They just got put in the wrong side of the bracket, that's all.
Anywhere else, you'd have them going all the way.
Oh, yeah. Dude, if Loyola was playing Gonzaga, I'd be picking Loyola.
Yeah.
I would not. But...
I would be.
Why?
I don't know, just because it'd be funny.
Sister Jean's got my love. She's just a nun, but...
She's not my lover.
Oregon State versus Oklahoma State. Battle of the OSUs. Which one rolls on?
I think OSU wins.
Cowboys.
I got the Cowboys as well.
How about them Cowboys? Let's go.
Cade Cunningham rocks it again.
The college team, Mike, not the NFL team.
I know.
All right, San Diego State taking on the Mountaineers of West Virginia.
Aztecs.
This one's a good matchup. This is the
Aztecs.
6v3. I like the Aztecs.
They're the Aztecs, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to get it
wrong. Me writing it as SD State made me think it was South Dakota State, but it's San Diego.
Yeah.
They're still good. This one, I've got this one pretty set in stone. Rutgers versus Houston. I got Houston.
Houston as well.
Houston's good too.
I like that Rutgers team though.
Jamma.
All right, before we move on, let me read out our current Sweet 16 teams. Coming out of the West, we got Gonzaga, UCSB, Kansas, and Iowa. Out of the East, Michigan, Georgetown, Texas, Bama. Out of the South, UNC, Purdue, Arkansas, and Ohio State. Out of the Midwest, Illinois, Oklahoma State, San Diego State, and Houston. As we're at here at the moment, which one is the strongest looking side of the bracket? In your opinions? Right now, I'm thinking it's the East with Michigan, Georgetown, Texas, and Bama. That looks great, tough. But I also like the South with UNC, Purdue, Arkansas, and Ohio State.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go South.
Yeah.
South?
Actually, no. I think Midwest.
Really? Illinois, Oklahoma State, San Diego State, and Houston?
Yes.
I mean, I think those are probably the strongest teams. That's a 1 seed, a 4 seed.
That East is looking pretty good.
The 6 seed and the 2 seed. So that Midwest is good. Obviously, all of these are good. I'm liking the East, though. That's a 1 seed, a 3 seed, a 2 seed, and then Georgetown is the 5 seed. So I think the Midwest and East are pretty well balanced.
Yeah.
I mean, I think these are all realistic
But they all are,
possibilities.
but yeah.
Well, let's move on. Sweet 16 matchups to decide the Elite 8 of college basketball. First up, Gonzaga Ucsb. Does the Cinderella story continue to the Elite 8? I'm going Zaga.
Zags.
I mean, it was fun while it lasted, but I think UCSB and the Gachos take the L here. So, Kansas, Iowa, the 3 seed, the 2 seed. The matchup probably most people will have on their picks. I mean, on their brackets. 20-8 Kansas, 21-8 Iowa. Thoughts? Before we make predictions, thoughts?
Thoughts on the matchup?
Yeah, on the matchup and the teams coming into this.
Kansas, as I said, is one of those teams that has COVID issues. I don't know who's going to be out and how long they're going to be out. I don't know when they're healthy and got them all together. I like Kansas. I don't know. What do you guys think in terms of the matchup?
Right now, Kansas coming in pretty hot to this one. They got a win against Oklahoma in the Big 12 tournament. They got win over Baylor by 13. They lost to Texas by 3. I think they're hot at the moment, and I'm still not 100% on Luka Garza in this. If Luka Garza turns it on and ends up being the player,
unstoppable.
They're going to be nearly unstoppable. If Luka Garza's on, I'm taking Iowa, but I don't think he will be. I'm going Kansas.
I think he will be, but that's why I went Iowa. But
I gotta go Kansas too.
Kansas, Jayhawks. We're going real against Mike in this. Normally it's against Matt.
It's all right.
I don't know, man. I really like Luka Garza too, but he hasn't been playing good.
Yeah. I mean, I think we're all big fans of Luka Garza. I was arguing for
I wouldn't say he's not playing good. He's just not playing to his level.
Right. He's not playing at that superstar level he was at the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
If he goes back to that early season form, they go Elite 8, Final Four. Michigan versus Georgetown. Do the Hokies miracle end here? I think this so depends on Livers, but I think Michigan's still the better team. Even without Livers, I have them beating Georgetown. I got Michigan.
If that were to happen, I'd go with Michigan if that was the matchup.
Yeah.
Michigan. So Michigan beats Georgetown in the Sweet 16 to move on to the Elite 8. Next matchup for the East, Texas v. Bama in the Sweet 16.
I had Texas.
Texas.
Ooh. I picked Bama. I think they're a really good team.
This game can go either way. It's a
2v3. This is why I said the East was so strong. It was because of how close this matchup is.
If this game happened, this would be one of the best matchups in the tournament.
I mean, it's a very real possibility this happens.
Good game.
Because, I mean, Bama has to beat Iona, which they probably will. They'd have to beat UConn or Maryland, which I think they can. Texas, on the other hand, has to beat Abilene Christian. They can definitely do that. Then they'd either take on BYU, Michigan State, or UCLA. I think that's one of the matchups. I think this is probably one of the most set-in-stone matchups that we have.
And it would be one of the
Texas
best.
versus Bama, and it will be one of the best, a 2v3. I've got Bama, but it looks like you guys are going Longhorns.
I got your horns up.
All right.
I think Texas is back in basketball on the hardwood.
Back on the hardwood, where they've never been before. Well, on to the South. The Sweet 16 matchup of UNC and Purdue. The Boilermakers or the Tar Heels. Matt's pulling out the Boilermakers shirt.
I'd go Purdue as well.
Purdue. I think the powder blue boys go down here.
I think it's the end of the line for UNC as well. We got Purdue rolling. Next matchup, Arkansas versus the Ohio State University. Obviously, I'm rolling with my Buckeyes, the Elite 8.
You know it.
Buckeyes.
Woo! Go
Matt's
Buckeyes!
taking Buckeyes. Mike?
I had the Razorbacks.
Yeah,
but
What? They're good.
You gonna stick with the Razorbacks?
The Razorbacks aren't sharp.
Ohio State. It's split between this one, but I liked Arkansas in that tournament. I liked Moses Moody. That's why I won.
Razorbacks are a good team, but I think the Buckeyes got it.
the
And Ohio State's a
Razorbacks
good team. I'm not saying they're not, but
don't stay
like we
sharp.
say sometimes they're not. You can't. You know
They
what's bad
are
against them
so
in the tournament.
scrappy, though.
They are. This is a different Ohio State team.
This is the
but-
scrappiest Ohio State team that I think I've ever seen, besides the Aaron Kraft Buckeyes.
Oh man,
that
was a
Buckeye
great
team with Aaron Kraft on
with
it. They were scrappy.
They were.
him and Sullinger too.
Yeah.
Ooh.
That was probably my favorite Ohio State basketball
But
team.
I just want to see
this
this.
one this year, I'm
I just
liking.
want to remember just when Kraft put up that fadeaway three at the
It's
the
funny.
top
Everyone
of the
always
key.
remembers him shooting it. The only thing I remember from Aaron Kraft is him jumping out of bounds 15 feet to save a ball flying out of bounds, and he would
That
end up in
was-
the 15th row.
Oh, I
That's
remember
what I
that
remember
three.
about Aaron
I think
Kraft.
it was against
Just the guts of that guy. I think he's
Oh.
actually playing over in one of the European leagues or the Serbian leagues right now.
But as I said, I think I like Ohio State. The team they have, but I just want to see them kind of get on a run here because I haven't seen them do it in the past. But I want to see them do it before I.
Right. All right. Well, another Big Ten team here right now. Big Ten has 3 of the Elite 8 teams with the potential of 4 with this matchup. Illinois, Oklahoma State, the Fighting Illini, and their phenomenal team, Kofi Cogburn, the one guy whose name is really hard to pronounce, taking on Cade Cunningham, Oklahoma State. What do you guys got? I got the Fighting Illini. I'm rolling Big Ten.
You know it.
I picked Oklahoma State, but I got to go with Illinois. They're really
Illinois.
good.
I just said it. I think they're the best team in basketball right now.
They're confident. They're a cocky team. I mean, the guy was
They got muscle.
the guy was taking pictures of
Himself like Kobe
yeah.
saying, "Job's not done."
Yeah.
I mean,
that means they're gonna go all
They got the
in.
mentality to do
They're
it.
confident.
Yeah. I mean, with reason. I think they finished their season the way you need to finish the season to take momentum, winning the Big Ten championship, proving you can do it in overtime as well against Ohio State, holding on to their win even after losing their 20-point lead in the first half, still having the confidence in themselves to like, hold on, we can still go out there and win this game. That's why I got Illinois. I think they got the mentality. This one, another great matchup. The 6th seed,
mentality.
right? That 6th seed San Diego State, the Aztecs, going on up against the number 2 seed Houston. I've got Houston. I like the Cougars.
Yeah, I had Houston too.
Okay. Yep.
All right.
Get out of there.
Well, that sets up a phenomenal Elite 8, led by the Big Ten. 4 Big Ten teams in the Elite 8, and 2 Big 12s. I think. Whatever Houston's in, which I think
Houston's in the American.
they're American, and then
Gonzaga's in the West Coast Conference.
That's what it is, WCC. All right, well, our Elite 8 teams, Gonzaga, Kansas, Michigan, Texas, Purdue, Ohio State, Illinois, and Houston. Now, setting up the Final 4. Out of the West, Gonzaga, Kansas. The Zags continue the perfect season. Something that hasn't been done in nearly 50 years. The perfect season all the way.
I think they do. I know you said Illinois. They probably are the best team in college basketball, but it's not. I mean, it's very close. Gonzaga has a big 3 with Suggs, Kispert, and Timmy. I like them to keep going.
I'll take the Zags over Kansas as well.
I got Gonzaga too.
Zags got to win a lot of games to continue this perfect season. They're going to have to win over 30 games. They come into this 26-0. First matchup would put them 27, 28, 29, 30, 31 games to get to the championship, and the 32nd game is the championship. That's a lot of games without losing.
Yeah.
Michigan, Texas, the East, Elite 8.
Horns up.
I'm going Texas too.
Texas. Why would you even want to pick Michigan? You hate them.
Michigan versus
matter.
Ohio State in the championship game is
Oh,
phenomenal.
no.
It's set up. Come on.
That's
You know I gotta go with that.
That won't happen. I barely picked LSU over them.
So, I mean, Texas, the horns rolling. All right. I mean, I think Michigan's got the point. I think at that point, too, they have Livers back,
We don't know though.
potentially. That's why I would have them going. If Livers is back in the Elite 8, I have Michigan. 100%.
Oh, I probably would too.
Even still without, I think I have them over Texas. I think they're more deep. I think they have a better roster. I think they're better shooters, better defense. I like them a lot better. Obviously, number 1 seed, winners of the Big Ten regular season,
Yeah.
I don't think they're losing to Texas.
One of them's got to lose, though. I mean, I know Baylor did, but we can't. I'm not going to pick 3 of them to go to the Final Four because it doesn't always happen.
Not unheard of. All right, Purdue, Ohio State, the rematch of the 4v5 in the Big Ten tournament. Buckeyes versus the Boilermakers. It's been the Boilermakers' day, but I got my Buckeyes going one more way.
If it came down to that, I'd pick Ohio State, but...
The way you said that. I gotta go Buckeyes.
Buckeyes. Wait, Mike, did you just say Ohio State?
If it came down to that, I'd pick Ohio State.
Man, Mike picked Ohio State again. He didn't pick them against Arkansas, but he'll pick them against Purdue.
I don't mind Michigan's or Ohio
They already
State
beat Purdue.
at all.
Like, they already beat them in the
I
tournament.
don't
Didn't
really
they play
mind
each other?
Ohio
they
State
played
at
each
all
other.
in any sport. It's Michigan is the team that I hate. Like,
Give me some right there. There we go.
I don't have nothing against Michigan.
I hate
Honest.
him.
Why?
I hate
Why?
Harbaugh. I hated Beeline when he was there.
Why do you hate Beeline? What did he do to anybody?
I hated him when he was there.
You just hate him because he was bad with the Cavs. That's why.
I hated him because he was at Michigan. I loved him in Cleveland.
Why'd you like him in Cleveland? He was here for like 20 games.
Yeah, they sucked.
He's rocking those cool suits, man. Did you see him?
Okay, final... Matt, we're just going to ignore that, please.
I got the newspaper.
Just stop.
So you have a newspaper hanging in your room, but you hate him in Michigan. What sense does that make?
Has that ever made sense?
I knew it wasn't going to last, so I kept
Mike,
it.
I think I'm going to go back to your way in this show.
Yeah.
I knew it wasn't going to last.
Having a day where I've agreed with Matt too much just isn't working for me.
I knew it wasn't going to last, so...
Okay, Illinois versus Houston, Midwest, final Elite 8 matchup. I've got the Fighting Illini one more time in this tournament. Best team in basketball right now.
Wait, we had him playing who? In this
Illinois versus Houston,
I'd
1v2.
take Illinois.
Illinois.
Well, that sets up a phenomenal Final Four. Out of the left side of your brackets, we got Gonzaga taking on Texas. In the east side, or the right side, a rematch of the Big Ten championship that went to overtime. Ohio State versus Illinois. I think Ohio State, at this point, completely healthy, back together, is a squad that beats this Illinois squad. They have the players to do it. They were without one of their best players in the game last time. He was injured in the first half against Michigan the night before. Wasn't able to play. At this point, this will be on April 3rd. He's back in the lineup. I got the Buckeyes beating Illinois because they did it. They nearly did it in the Big Ten championship.
3.
They lost by 3
in overtime
without one of their best players, one of their starting 5.
They nearly did it, but you guys are gonna get mad at me. But Illinois was playing really good before the Big Ten tournament.
Really good.
They were clicking before the tournament. Then
Illinois
I know Ohio
really
State
good.
pushed them in the championship game, but you touched on it. They might be the best team in this tournament, so I'm going to say with.
Kyle Young is the player I'm talking about for Ohio State. One of their starting 5. Their starting forward.
Yeah.
Defensively and offensively, one of the best players on this team.
Yeah.
Probably one of the most consistent defensive players as well. Liddell is up and down on both sides of the floor. So is C.J. Walker.
I like Washington.
Washington was lighting it up in the Big Ten tournament. Kyle Young is that dark horse for me. He's going to be playing in this matchup by then. I think he's supposed to be back by the first round.
Yeah, he's not going to be out long.
He's not out long. It was a minor injury. I think with Kyle Young on the squad,
tough.
They beat Illinois by nearly double digits. That's how much of an impact I think he makes on this team.
Despite the fact you said Illinois' best team in basketball.
Yes.
I'm just saying.
Yes. I think going into the tournament, Illinois was the best team in basketball.
Mike, who do you got?
He picked Illinois. I've got Ohio State. And I'm pleading my case for the Buckeyes so hard here.
Go ahead, man.
I don't know.
You got to pick. Let's go.
I got to pick.
Scarlet and gray all the way. Or is it the orange and blue for you?
The Fighting Illini.
The Ohio State University. The Battle of the Illabuck. In the Final Four. The way it should be. Big Ten controlling who goes.
I'm sorry, man. I gotta go with Mike here. I gotta go Illinois. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Completely. You're killing me. You're killing me, Matt. You're killing me. You were rolling with me the whole way down. I thought we were going to finish this off
Wait, you're making
together.
your case, I'm making my case. We leave Matt as a tiebreaker.
Apparently.
That's kind
I
of...
gotta go.
Hold on, we need to call somebody else. I'm going to call my mom.
I have to say I say it goes overtime again. Honestly, I say Illinois wins it with free throws.
All right, other side, Gonzaga versus Texas.
Zags.
I'm going horns up. Zaga is not going to the championship.
Why?
I think it's time for you guys to plead your case to me.
Just say why, Matt. I want to hear it.
I think Texas has a longer, tougher road than they do, of course, right here. I know that we have them maybe playing Kansas.
No, I'm saying about Gonzaga. Why are you saying that about them?
I'm gonna go back to what I said before. Their division is not as strong as
this is where I got
one
you.
is.
Gonzaga's,
No, listen,
Mike's,
let me finish.
this is where I got you.
Let Matt take it.
They dominated everybody in their division. Now, I don't think there was anything close, right? They beat everybody by like 30, right?
Not in tournament. BYU almost beat them in the championship game.
But regular season was different.
Yeah, I don't know their whole schedule, but yeah.
Maybe they were sandbagging a little bit in the tournament. Maybe they were resting their
teams
guys.
play well in tournaments.
Yeah, and teams play well in the tournament.
Well, some of those lower seed teams, especially going against ones, want to give it their all, make the tournament.
I think what I'm going off here, Texas has a tough road here. What we got them beating?
Which means
Bama?
they could be tired.
Huh?
Which means they could be tired going into
Yeah,
this.
so you kind of hurt your case there.
Yeah,
but they will also
but
have
if they get
extreme
this
confidence if they win against Michigan.
But you got to keep that going. That's key.
And Alabama. I mean, their confidence will be
They will have beaten the 1 seed and the 2 seed along with Michigan State.
That's what I got to go Texas here.
This is where I got Matt, though, with how bad
Mike.
Okay, the conference might not be good, but Gonzaga's been good for how many years now?
Yeah.
They were in the national title game. I didn't win it, but they were in it. They've been an Elite 8 Final Four team for how many years now?
Yeah.
So the conference during the regular season, I don't even pay attention anymore because it doesn't matter when they're in the tournament.
Yeah.
What else you got for me, Mike? Come on, give me something here.
I just told you about the big three with Timmy, Kispert, and Suggs. Those guys can shoot. It's Kispert and Suggs. They probably run the best offense in college basketball.
Matt, any final arguments for Texas? Give me a person. Give me something here. I'm taking the Zags.
Okay.
We just can't ever ask Matt to plead a case. All right. Well, it's not.
I tried to give a good case.
Yeah.
It's
not my championship game, but this is it. Our championship. Gonzaga, Illinois, 1v1.
They're not going to get it here. Illinois is taking it.
I got the Fighting Illini. This is our matchup. I had whatever team was coming out of the right side of this bracket winning it.
I had Gonzaga winning it all.
You got Gonzaga. You've got Illinois. I'm leaning Illinois.
And I'm not even picking Gonzaga because of their undefeated record. I'm not even paying attention to that. I just think they
got a good team.
I think
they
that's
do
why
got
I'm
a good
picking
team.
Their record. I'm not even paying attention to records at this point. I'm just.
Oh, at this point, records mean nothing.
They don't. Once tournament times comes, it doesn't matter. But
look at Georgetown. They're 12. They're
13 and 12.
13 and 12, and we picked them far a little bit.
Matt, give me your argument for Illinois.
Illinois, they're players, really good player. Okay, I can't. Cogburn is that good player. We've talked about him for a while, this whole session here. And then the other kid, I forget his name. The guy holding the trophy.
The best player, we can't remember his name.
You're right.
We just can't say it. I know who he is, but
yeah.
We all are obviously picturing it, but let me just pull up the roster because I just had it up.
The dude rocking the face mask was playing pretty good.
Ayo Dosunmu.
Yeah, that's right.
If that's how it's pronounced. I don't think that's the right
Dosunmu, that's how it is.
Dosunmu, that's what it is, yeah. Ayo Dosunmu. I love that Illinois team.
They're good.
Mike, any final argument for Gonzaga? Because I've got Illinois right now.
I mean, I kind of made my argument before this matchup.
Yeah.
All right. I don't think Gonzaga pulls it off.
I don't think they do.
I think Indiana's still the last team to go undefeated and win it. I don't think Gonzaga finishes 32-0. I've got the Fighting Illini in the Big Ten winning it.
Again, Illinois, I wouldn't be shocked if they won.
I know it was just a picture. I know it was his Big Ten championship, but he made a true statement by taking that picture. I really did.
I don't think it was a huge statement.
I mean, he made a true statement.
I think it was a kid having fun.
Yeah.
Or that. I mean, I don't know.
I think it was a kid having fun. He just wanted to pay tribute to Kobe. That's all I thought.
Or was it
potentially?
Or was it showing? Hey, I don't know.
Who knows? All right.
We'll find out.
Well, Illinois' long, tough road to the championship. We'll write it out here. Illinois against Drexel. Then against Loyola Chicago. Cade Cunningham and Oklahoma State. Then against the number 2 Houston. And then against number 2 Ohio State. Then against number 1 Gonzaga. On the other side, Gonzaga takes App State. Then against the Sooners. Then they get the road against UCSB. Then against Kansas. Finishing off against Texas before moving to the championship
because I
Illinois.
think Kansas has some problems. So keep that in mind.
The Steelers are re-signing cornerback Cameron Sutton to a 2-year, $9 million deal. Breaking news, by the way.
Also,
NFL's been in a
frenzy.
Things are starting to kick in.
Former Cowboys defensive tackle, was it Malik Collins? You know that name?
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't like that good.
He signed with the Texans.
At least I didn't think, but...
So what are you guys' final thoughts on our bracket? What is your opinion? How do we do? Illinois is the champion against Gonzaga. Our final four, Ohio State, Texas, Illinois, and Gonzaga.
We're going to be sending a picture out of it, right? So people can see it.
Yeah, it'll be posted on our Instagram and Twitter.
I think it's half decent.
Half decent?
It's very well.
It's very well. Okay.
I think this is probably...
a solid bracket.
Probably the biggest question mark becomes Ohio State versus Arkansas. I think Ohio State versus Arkansas, UNC versus Purdue, Illinois versus Oklahoma State, San Diego State versus Houston. I mean, I think where we either win or lose this is in the Elite Eight. I think that's what this comes down to.
I mean,
okay.
All right.
That's all I got with it, really.
Well, that's what we got for Division 1.
When you're filling out your brackets, like I said, keep the 5v12s and 4-13s. That's where upsets happen.
Those are the big ones. 1 versus 16 does not happen.
Don't be afraid to pick one.
I would not pick a 1v16 this year. I think the ones are too strong.
Alec talked up UCSB, so maybe keep that one in mind.
Yeah,
but
keep UCSB
look at those
on
matchups.
your backup burner. Ohio, we kind of liked that one potentially against Virginia. Keep in mind, I said it: UConn, USC, Georgetown, UNC. Those are just the teams potentially could make a deep run. Keep those ones in your back pocket. Best luck on your brackets. May the odds be ever in your favor.
Hey, I love that movie.
It's a good movie. Well, Mike, you want to continue on to our show? Let's get this thing continuing.
I know we just touched on NFL, but before we get there, there's
an hour and 20 minutes into it.
Yeah, I got some quick notes on the NBA before we go to the NFL because we got some stuff going on there. Brooklyn Nets are 12-1 in their last 13 games. We'll just get into it. Do you think the Nets are the best team in the NBA right now, and are they the favorites?
They also, I believe, just picked up Blake Griffin.
As we talked about, yeah. I think did we talk about that last week, or did it not happen yet?
I don't think it had happened yet. So
I think it was
that's
just rumored. But
Blake Griffin. I think it was rumored. We talked about it.
We may have touched on it, but so they got him as their fourth option now, coming off the bench. Are you liking them better now than we did when they traded everybody away because they literally had nobody?
They've been building up a better bench. I still think they're a few pieces short of a championship, but at the moment,
what do you think they need though?
More bench.
It's fair.
They need people to come in when those stars need to rest, and not at the same level. They need defense off the bench so that they can hold their leads when they take their starters off the floor. I think that was a big move with bringing in Blake Griffin. They needed somebody who is able to be defense, who knows how to be an offensive leader as well. Somebody that can finish near the rim. He brings that in. He still got the jump. He can still dunk it. Put 2 elbows in the rim. I think he can still do that. He's probably their 6th man of the year if they were to have one at this point. Honestly, I think somebody they still needed would have been Spencer Dinwiddie.
Yeah.
And Karis LeVert. I think those were 2 guys that made a huge difference for this bench, along with Jared Allen. I think they need more defense still. More defense off the bench.
And because
I don't think they need more points.
No,
they're fine on points. Because they can leave probably one or two of those guys in while they rotate around.
Scoring-wise, they're going to outscore anybody in the league, any team in the league.
But they need that defensive player who can provide a little bit of offense. They don't want somebody that can come out there and is only going to put up 2 to 4. They need probably 6 to 8. So
and
not too many more points.
You touched on the bench. I want to see how Blake Griffin plays in that role. Because he hasn't been a guy. I mean, in Detroit, he was their guy because they didn't have anybody there. He might have been their guy with the Clippers, but probably Chris Paul. So I want to see how he is with his fourth option coming off the bench. Like in terms of their big three, he's probably that guy that's their fourth option. I want to see how he plays coming off the bench because I mean he really hasn't done that at all. He hasn't done that at all.
Right.
So I want to see how that goes. Obviously, you touched on the defense. You got to be able to stop guys. I mean, if they end up playing a team like the Lakers in the finals, you got to go with the Lakers because their defense is better.
Right. They need a big to at least go up against AD and LeBron down there in the paint. I still think the Lakers are kind of 1 or 2 pieces away from repeating as well.
We'll see what they do at the deadline, but
right. I think they need to get not somebody big, but they need to get somebody off the bench who is a more consistent center. I don't think Gasol was the answer.
Yeah, we'll go into a little bit with the Lakers here because you talked about when they first got Gasol how you weren't too crazy about it. Now it's kind of shown it's not really working out. Is that their only issue, you think, or I mean, do you think they need to obviously address that, or is there any other things they need to address? Obviously, with the AD issue, we need to get him back. But if you move on from Gasol, where do you go? I guess.
I'm not sure who exactly is on the market that they can move for. I think tonight's matchup against the Warriors is a good one. Really going to tell how this team does coming out of the break.
I hear rumors about them wanting JaVale McGee back. The only way they're going to get JaVale McGee back is if the Cavs trade him to another team and he gets bought out because they just made a trade with the same player. And they can't, for NBA rule, you can't trade him back within a certain time span. So that's another way. That's not a likely way to get JaVale McGee back. In terms of size, I don't really know. Do they want Andre Drummond? The only way they're going to get him is if they buy him out, they're saying.
Right, they don't really have the money, and I don't think that's going to work out that way. But they definitely, I think their only weakness is having that big. They have more than enough shooters and scorers, playmakers. I think they're fine everywhere. They don't have the solid presence. They just announced Jared Dudley's got an MCL injury. So there goes one of their, I'll say, bigger guys. He's 6'6". He's the
veteran guys, too.
Backup. Potentially they start giving more minutes to a guy like Kostas Antetokounmpo.
Possibly.
And getting Markieff Morris back involved in that lineup if they want to try and keep their lineups the same. Montrezl Harrell. I think they probably can switch him into... If they bring Kostas up, and they can move Trezl into a power forward spot and let him kind of work that area behind AD and kind of have those two flow.
I think he's good in a role like that.
Right. I don't think he's a solid 5. I think he's a mixed 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, Montrezl Harrell is shorter than LeBron by 2 inches, but he plays center.
But he battles down there.
Right. And that's why I think a power forward role would help him more and help the team more. Because I think it's a team that needs to rebound more.
Yeah,
I mean, LeBron leads the team in points, rebounds, and assists right now.
And they lost a lot of rebounding, losing Dwight Howard and JaVale McGee in the offseason. So that's something they need to address. And I think they're looking to address and they want to address.
At the moment, they don't have a double-digit rebounder. I was wrong. Don't know why it says team leaders is LeBron James for everything but blocks. Gotta love ESPN. This is their app, by the way, so this isn't just me. This is ESPN's app, so calling them out. Thank you, Disney. Anthony Davis leading rebounder with 8.4 rebounds. Kuzma's actually having a pretty good season. I'm liking him right now.
He had a good game the other day.
I was watching some highlights from that other game.
He's doing 12 points per game with 7 rebounds. It's nice. But more rebounding. They don't have a consistent guy. Gasol is not good. 4.8 points per game, 4.1 rebounds. That's not going to get done. So they need that big. They just need somebody. I don't know who it is. Gasol was not the answer. I said it when he came in. I stand by that.
I see trying it out, I guess. I mean, it kind of messed things up a little bit. Now they have to find somewhere else to address it. But I don't know. Like you said, they need the rebounding. It didn't work out with Gasol.
Right.
They lost a lot of that rebounding, like I said, in free agency.
And now to get rid of Gasol is going to cost them a lot of money and probably a valuable asset that they need somewhere else.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's anybody right now in free agency that they could pick up to help either.
And I think going back to the Nets, I don't want to get off topic, but going back to the Nets, the only team in the East I see even giving them a fight is the Sixers. Just because of, you talk about the Nets defense, how it still needs to improve. The Sixers, they have a good defense, and they have guys down low. I mean, I know the Nets have DeAndre Jordan still, right?
Yes.
They just got Blake Griffin. I know they have more size, but you're doing what Joel Embiid down there.
Two out of the 3 Lob City guys back.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens with
Lob
those two
City
teams.
with Kyrie. Maybe.
We'll see.
Maybe we'll see. It could happen. I think Nets are an Eastern Conference final team, though.
I agree.
I think they still need one more piece to be the finals team.
Who do you think is
I just
the
don't know
finals
if they can
team
get
in that Eastern Conference?
Hmm?
Who do you think is the finals team in the Eastern Conference?
Right now, it's the 76ers.
I think so.
I mean, it's not far-fetched.
And right now, the West is the Jazz.
And Phoenix is.
I think right now, my Western Conference final is Jazz-Lakers.
I like Phoenix, but
Phoenix is second.
This is the
right
first
now.
time they've been good, though, in like 10 years. So
Yeah.
they haven't...
It's a little too soon to start pushing them.
They had Chris Paul, but they really don't have much experience other than that.
Yeah, I think we still got to wait another 10, 15 games to really see what's happening, especially once we hit the trade deadline.
Yeah.
Just one more quick note on the NBA before we start moving on. So Carmelo Anthony has passed Hakeem Olajuwon for 11th place in on the NBA all-time scoring list. Melo is now 343 points away from passing Elvin Hayes for 10th place.
I think we can get there.
I think he can get there.
He's definitely going to get there.
I like Carmelo on this Blazers team, too.
I loved Carmelo back when he was with the Nuggets. There was a small little rivalry between, I think, like him and LeBron kind of coming up at the same time.
Him and the Lakers had a rivalry, too. Nuggets and Lakers.
Right. I really just remember growing up as a kid, I used to go in there and just play the Nuggets versus the Cavs, and just those two going back and forth. I always used to try and trade to get Carmelo on my team because I love the duo of LeBron and Carmelo. He's probably been one of my favorite players coming along, besides LeBron. So, all props to
just on this
Carmelo.
accomplishment for Melo, like in terms of his career, he's probably one of the best scorers. I mean, in his career, in that time span.
Yeah, he's been up there.
Other than Kevin Durant, but in terms of when he was drafted, that draft class in here, I mean, his mid-range games has always been kind of unguardable.
Yeah, he's had one of the probably most consistent mid-range shots.
That's where he's got the bulk of his points.
Right.
But
He loves that little fade away from the mid-range. It's a good shot. He gets a lot of guys on it. I think the question becomes, say this is his final year. Hall of Famer?
Carmelo?
Has he done enough?
I want to say yes. I would have liked to see him do more, but
He's had a great comeback.
Yeah?
He's had a couple,
But his whole
he had
career,
a couple
though.
down years when he was with Houston, I remember. But
I would say yes. I would have liked to see a lot more. I mean, obviously
if
a title,
somehow, now this is so far-fetched, somehow like Dame and him lead him all the way to the championship this year, which is very doubtful, yeah.
Well,
I'd
let
say
me
he's
just give you
Hall of
this.
Famer.
10-time NBA All-Star.
but now 11th in
If you gotta
scoring
add a championship.
Uh,
He's got to, I mean,
Two-time All-NBA second team, 4-time All-NBA third team, the 2013
Yeah.
scoring champion, All-Rookie first team back in 2004, and that is all he has done in the NBA.
he won it all with Syracuse.
Yeah, he was, but that's college. That's
college.
not the NBA. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter.
I would have liked to see him win a championship, but I'm not going to just say he shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame just because he didn't have a championship. I mean, he's one of the best scorers in his time.
Yeah.
You can maybe, I don't know about
I
ever,
think
but
for a guy that was the third overall pick,
he could have done more.
In 2003, I think he could have done more, but I don't think we can look at it like he could have done more. But he didn't. He had some lost time with the Knicks. I think that kind of
wasn't his fault.
derailed
Everybody has
him.
lost time with the Knicks.
I think
So
that kind of derailed any chance he had of being a first ballot Hall of Famer.
the Houston experience didn't work out.
Right.
He was all right in OKC, but they had to move on there.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I think his Nuggets years were the best.
Oh, by far.
But, he was in the NBA All-Star game from 2010 to 2017, so all of those years he was on the Knicks. So I think that kind of helps boost him. Between being a 10-time All-Star and if he finishes in the top 10 on the scoring list, I think he gets in.
And I think he will. If he comes back for another year, he definitely will be in the top 10 in scoring.
And I don't see him retiring after this year.
I don't think he does. I haven't heard anything about it.
Left.
Yeah, he has. He can keep going. I haven't heard much about it.
I mean, he's only 36, about the same as LeBron, and they're both looking strong still. So
I'd say he's a Hall of Famer.
I got him Hall of Famer.
And I think if he gets in top 10,
he's
like
still
you
got
said,
some time left.
Yeah,
he's got some time.
All right, Mike, keep it along.
Any other NBA stuff? You got?
No, I think
personally?
we're good.
All right, so NFL, we're gonna start the big news. What's that? Oh, I forgot. I don't know how I forgot that.
Yeah.
All right,
I know we talk about Cavs like every week, but we gotta talk about this, though, right, Mike?
So Joe Tate, I wrote a story about this and I put it on my LinkedIn account if anybody wants to check it out. Joe Tate, I mean, I'll give you the quick rundown on him. He spent 39 years as a Cavs radio broadcaster. He was inducted into their Wall of Fame last year in 2019. 2008, he had his 3,000th broadcast. And people talk a lot about broadcasters, great broadcasters, with the Lakers with Chick Hearn, the Celtics with Johnny Most. We had Joe Tate.
Yeah, Joe Tate was.
I mean, I constantly hear my dad talk about him, how great he was.
About him too.
Last year, you guys know because I was with you guys when I asked current broadcaster Tim Alcorn about Joe Tate.
Yeah, about Joe Tate, I remember.
I only heard Joe Tate for 2 years before he retired. He retired in 2011. I only remember the last couple of years, but he is the gold standard. And he is, to me, you hear about Austin Carr, Joe Tate's Mr. Cavalier.
Yeah.
By far.
Yeah.
I mean, he was with them from when they started. He was honest on the air.
He was broadcasting, or he was commentating the Miracle of Richfield. That was Joe Tate when Carr was playing. So
he was with them from the start. It's sad to see him go. I know he's been gone for 10 years now, broadcasting in terms of that. We kind of got used to that part of it, but it's going to be hard not having him anymore.
Yeah.
Personally, I mean, he was did a lot of the radio broadcasts for the Cavaliers with the first face of LeBron. The Cavaliers games used to start kind of late. When I was younger, I had the 9 o'clock bedtime, but I was allowed to have my radio on AM 1100, listen to the Cavs game back in Akron. So, just remembering, really my best memories of Joe Tate were listening to the Cavaliers on one of the lowest volumes, not going to bed at night, and staying up till 10:30, 11 o'clock, listening to Joe Tate call the Cavalier games. To me, he was the sound of the Cleveland Cavaliers.
And he forever will be.
Austin Carr, I think, has been like modern guys. He's got the catchphrases and stuff. He's the cool
player-wise. He might have been, but
he was the player. But to me, that the voice of Cleveland has always been Joe Tate for the Cavaliers.
The stories because my dad goes way back as a Cavs fan, and the stuff I hear about him say about Joe Tate, like I said, I only remember the last couple years of his career, but. I mean, back when
he's been calling games since the 70s.
I know, back in the Miracle Richfield years.
Yeah.
The games weren't on TV all the time.
Right.
I mean, I hear my dad say constantly. I mean, even when they were on TV a lot, when they started to become more on TV, he'd rather listen to Joe Tate.
Right.
He'd rather tune in his radio, listen to Joe Tate.
My dad always prefers with baseball. He always prefers Hamilton. With the Indians over.
Yeah, there's a few times I'll turn the game on for the Indians.
Put it on mute.
And then open up the radio station.
I do that sometimes now with Tim Alcorn. Tim Alcorn sounds a little bit like Joe Tate.
Because, Hamilton's way better than Rick Manning, I think. So, that's just my opinion, though.
Yeah. But, I mean, guys like us study guys like Joe Tate on how to radio broadcast.
And even
radio
Hamilton
broadcasting
too.
is becoming a lost art, and Joe Tate is one of those guys you go in, it's like...
And I think the thing with...
You study the way he did it.
And I think the thing with Joe Tate was, and he had so much freedom with what he did.
The voice.
He went on air, and if the team was playing bad, he let people know they were playing bad.
Oh yeah,
Because he was able to do it.
As broadcasters, we're told you cannot start, ragging on a team. You have to give them the constructive criticism.
Yeah.
Tate was given the freedom to not do that.
The thing was, and he was able to do that so often because when they first started out as a franchise in 1970, they were horrific.
They were horrible.
They had some good years with the Miracle Richfields, and they were. The Ted Stepien years, he left for 2 years under Ted Stepien.
Yeah.
So there was 2 years when he wasn't there.
Yeah. And
the first thing Gordon Gunn did when he bought the Cavs was bring Joe Tate back. That's how important he was. And
I think he was a big fan morale boost. I think that's part of the reason why they grew such the fan base. And by the time LeBron got there, this fan base was huge around the Cavs with the new arena in downtown Cleveland. It was all hyped up, and then Quicken Loans buys the arena And it became kind of this phenom, and I think that was all led by the voice of Joe Tate.
And one more thing, I can't remember who said it, but it was on a news story about this on TV. And my dad, I've heard him talk about it constantly. There was years where they were horrific, as I said. They start out 2-15. They end up making the playoffs.
Now you got to call that for the rest of the year.
Well, that too with this team. But yeah, I mean, for how bad they've had a lot of bad teams.
A lot.
And everybody wanted to listen to Joe Tate. And that's what I talked about.
Didn't matter how good the team was.
Teams throughout the country could have all their great broadcasters, but we had Joe Tate, and he is the Cavs.
Yeah.
He made the Cavs. I mean, when they first started, they weren't gonna last. Nobody expected them to last.
No,
when they had
were an expansion team.
When they had Ted Stepping, they were gonna go to Toronto. I mean, and you talk about when Gordon Gunn, when he buys the Cavs, his first thing to do is to bring back Joe Tate. Another thing I saw before we move on, the one game I think they were bad. It was before Gordon Gunn brought them. They had a Joe Tate night while he was for his last broadcast before Ted Stepping got rid of him. Cavs games were, I mean, there was nobody there because they were terrible. The last game of the year, it's a Joe Tate tribute night, sellout. Yeah. That's how important he is, and he will still forever be important.
Exactly.
So. We lost a great one, and just you guys have anything else on him?
No, I think it's time to move back to the NFL like we were going to do.
I'm good.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I didn't know if you had anything else to say.
All right. Looked like you were gonna cry or something.
Only Matt cries on the show.
I don't cry on the show.
Kobe.
You've
I
said how many times you cried.
He said a lot of times that he's cried.
No, I didn't cry on the show. I almost did. And so did you, so you can even
I got choked up.
I mean, everybody did.
I couldn't even bring it in.
I was the one that had to say it. Yeah, you made me bring it in because you couldn't.
Yeah. Well, I had to talk about it, though.
Yeah, you wanted to.
Yeah.
It was your own fault.
Yeah. All right, you guys ready?
Yeah.
Big news out of the NFL. Drew Brees officially retires.
Man, Drew Brees.
About time. It's about time.
It is about time.
It is. Drew Brees, one of my favorite quarterbacks, obviously.
I mean, he was drafted as the replacement for the Chargers who was it?
Doug Flutie.
Doug Flutie on the Chargers. He was brought in as a replacement and moved on to the New Orleans Saints.
This is what happened. They knew they were going to draft Brees, and they brought in Flutie from Buffalo to mentor him because they knew Flutie was coming near the end of his career. And actually, Phillip Rivers was brought in to replace Drew Brees. And that's why Drew Brees left.
Worked out for both teams.
Yeah.
I think you can say.
Did it?
It's not like the Saints got much out of Drew Brees besides the one ring.
Yeah. Better than none.
Yeah, that's the one thing about Drew Brees. He only has one title. But look at all the records he has.
He's done
passing leader.
Yeah.
I mean,
passing touchdowns. I mean, everything. He's done everything you can do. I mean, he was going back and forth with Tom Brady for passing touchdowns his entire season.
I mean, he's a great guy off the field.
I mean, yeah, man. You talk about off the field. Like before he went to the Saints, like the Saints have always been bad.
Yeah.
And before he went there, nobody wanted to go there, so he goes there and he builds them up.
Yeah.
I mean, they won a Super Bowl. They built it up little by little, and he is what drew people to New Orleans because nobody wanted to go there. People want to go to New Orleans now because of Drew Brees, and that's how it's going to be from now on.
Most likely. I mean, what do you think of their new quarterback situation? Jameis Winston's getting a contract worked on. Taysom Hill got a 4-year, $140 million contract, but only the first year is guaranteed, so they can pretty much just cut all the rest out in the second, third, and fourth year. So it's not an actual $140 million contract before Matt gets your panties in a twist.
I could have a 15-minute conversation about this, but...
Seriously, though, with Jameis Winston...
I think Jameis Winston's the move.
I think he is.
If they're able to get him back...
I think he is. And he's got the targets. I mean, he's got... Can't guard Mike out there,
Slant boy.
If they end up keeping him, like I don't think they're going to lose a step at all.
No, Matt and I were talking about Jameis Winston earlier. Just I think we both agreed he has the arm talent and the leadership qualities you want out of your quarterback.
It's all there.
I think we were like, we don't know if he has the downfield vision. That was kind of we don't know how well he sees the field. Hopefully, sitting behind Brees, a great decision maker out there, helps him out. Maybe he can use that mentor of Drew Brees and kind of move it in.
And I don't like Taysom Hill as a full-time starter, but when they bring him in, like a couple plays of the
utility
games,
guy, man.
He's like I was talking to him earlier. He's kind of like Slash. You remember Cordell Stewart, Pittsburgh back in the 90s?
Yeah.
Well, he was great in that role with Neil O'Donnell. And then when Neil O'Donnell left, or I don't know where he went, but they made Cordell Stewart full-time quarterback, and he was trash.
Well, we know Sean Payton's in love with Taysom Hill. He gives him the ball all the big moments, and Taysom Hill burned him for that last season.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see what Sean Payton decides to do with that. I'm sure we'll get some controversy coming out of the training camps. I have a feeling someone's going to be requesting a trade come this next season from that team.
We'll have to see what
We'll
happens.
have to see.
All right, so free agency is going to be getting underway here. So far we have
And pay attention to that too. Free agency, they could
quarterback situation for a lot of teams.
Yeah, like hey, I want Sam Darnold.
Bears are making a strong move towards Russell Wilson.
I mean, if this Russell Wilson stuff's real, Bears and Saints.
They dropped
two teams.
Trubisky.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's about time. I like Mitchell Trubisky, Menor kid.
What a Mitch.
Yeah, what a Mitch.
Creative.
It's his time's done. He'll be a backup role forever, and so will Sam Darnold.
I mean, if you want to touch real quick, because I didn't have this in my notes, but bringing up Russell Wilson, how real do you think this thing is with him?
I mean, they're going all in.
You don't think it's real?
No, the Bears are throwing themselves to the wind in a dream that just isn't real.
You know what's going to end up happening?
Unless they're trading away like Khalil Mack, and Cordero Patterson and Nick Foles
or Sutton.
Unless they're putting together a massive trade package that would ruin them, I don't think they get this move done.
What about the Saints? You just think Russell Wilson's not going anywhere? Is that what you're saying?
No, I don't think Russell Wilson's getting moved.
No, I say he signs back with Seattle.
Yeah, I don't think he's going anywhere.
The teams that they were talking about were Dallas.
Well, they're out the window now.
Yeah. New Orleans.
Oh, Dallas. Yeah, we didn't talk about that. Dallas re-signed Dak.
Oh, yeah. That happened after last week's show. I agree with bringing him back, obviously, but I don't agree with the money, though. But if that's the only way to bring him back, and they're not in a hole financially after that signing.
Jerry Jones has plenty of money.
The guy knows what he's doing.
Right. I mean, they negotiated the contract well to where most of it comes in as signing bonus money every year. So it kept their cap space low, which I think is probably the most important part.
As I've said on the show many times, if they can fix their defense, they're going to be good. If they can get somebody in the secondary in the draft, that's definitely going to help.
I'm thinking they might need an extra help on the offensive line.
Maybe not somebody on the defensive line too. Maybe
right. The line's definitely on both sides. I think probably their weakest set. But I think your Cowboys need someone on that offensive line, a young guy that can kind of be brought up along.
There's some good offensive linemen they can get in the later rounds. I mean, there always is in every draft.
Exactly. I mean, that's kind of the whole point of take somebody in the 4th, 5th, 6th round to kind of bring along. You don't have to bring him in he doesn't have to start immediately. Bring him in, groom him 2-3 years. Because you got some older guys in your line, some guys that are costing a lot of money.
Zach Martin.
But some really good players that could be a really great mentor to keep your line strong after you lose one of those guys to free agency, retirement, injury. I think they need that 6th and 7th guy to come off the bench.
Yeah, with the injury thing you're talking about, because there's going to be injuries. There was just injuries last. I mean, you got to address them. You guys got to be ready to step up.
And with a mobile quarterback like Dak, you need a strong offensive line so that he can feel the freedom to move throughout not only the pocket, but then roll out of the pocket and have the confidence that he's not going to get his legs taken out from underneath him.
And to go away from the field a little bit, I just like what Dak said in his press conference after the signing of it. I just liked how he said, this is where I wanted to be, and I want to be a quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. He's taking that pressure.
Exactly.
There's pressure playing for the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah. Even if they're a team that has been subpar and had a bad season.
They're still the Cowboys.
They're still the Cowboys, yeah.
I'm not going to say America's teams. I don't buy into that.
I don't think they are anymore. I think that's the Browns now.
But they're still... No, they're not.
Oh, come on. The Browns had were the favorites to win the Super Bowl.
One playoff win.
I know.
I know you're on board with me on this one.
Yeah.
I don't think they should be America's team. I'm just saying, based on the fan voting this year, they were the favorites in everything. Based on fan votes.
The only way... Well, yeah, but we're arguing here.
No, we're not. No, there's nothing to argue.
I don't buy in America's team stuff, but they have that name for a reason. It was that stuff was made years ago. It was not fan votes or anything. They were anointed that.
Right.
But I don't buy into the America's team stuff, so I'm not going to defend that. Some signings so far. Patriots signed Jonnu Smith, tight end from the Titans. Bucks re-signed Shaq Barrett. They're looking to bring everybody back. after
I
the
think they
Super
have
Bowl win.
32 free agents, though.
They do. That's a lot.
Who
They re-signed so far? Barrett and
Shaq
somebody else,
Barrett,
I think.
one of their wide receivers.
I think you're right. No, Godwin. They tagged him, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, they tagged Godwin. They still got they want to keep Antonio
Oh,
Brown.
they got Brady a different contract, I think.
He signed a 1-year extension.
Yeah.
I think restructured it. Antonio Brown's still a free agent. Gronk's still a free agent. I know I'm missing a couple other ones, but they said Antonio Brown's a guy they want to resign. So we'll see if that happens. Packers resign Aaron Jones. That's a big one.
Yeah, that was a huge
That's
deal,
a very
too.
big one.
Steelers renegotiated Big Ben's contract as well last week.
But
Yep.
Juju's most likely out the door.
Yeah,
I'm okay
And
with that, though.
okay with
so
that.
is probably Bud Dupree.
But Dupree's not looking like he's coming back out.
I'm going to miss that one, but
Yeah.
I'm okay with Juju.
Yeah. Me too.
I'm hoping you guys
I
can
like-
get somebody. I think Claypool needs to move into the one or
Yeah.
two, probably into the number 2
Yeah.
spot.
They didn't get a receiver in the draft.
Yeah. And
Get another Claypool. Someone
think
later
they
that has
drafted-
the potential.
they drafted that, I think his first name's Alex Highsmith last year out
Yeah.
of Charlotte. And he came in for Bud Dupree, I believe. And he played pretty good. So,
I don't think you have too much to worry about defensively as long as you keep the Watt.
yeah. Yeah.
TJ Watt's probably the biggest. Like, you got to keep him, keep your corners and safeties.
And I want to go back to the Packers before we move on here.
And they
Go
just re-signed Sutton, too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, you're right. Just before we move on, I want to say something about the Packers. It's very big keeping Aaron Jones because, I mean, he's their starting running back.
Oh, yeah.
And it wasn't a huge deal. 4 years, $48
But
million.
Rodgers also likes him as the running back,
He
too.
does.
He said that he's been vocal. Rodgers has had a lot of displeasure with this team in recent years, and this was probably one of those things to, like, keep Rodgers happy. Let's bring him back his running game.
In terms of their offense, yeah, they need to get another receiver in the draft. We've been saying that for a couple years now.
they brought
But-
him back so they didn't have to focus on grabbing a back.
Something else I think they really need is a second corner to go with Zaire Alexander. Because in the NFC
Can we talk
Championship
about
game...
hold on how good Aaron Jones is? I don't want this to just be
Oh,
passed
yeah.
off as like,
Good.
just some other guy they brought along.
No,
running
4 years,
Aaron
$48
Jones
million.
is one of the best running backs in the league right now.
Oh, yeah, and for that price, you talk about running backs making a lot of money like Zeke.
Right. They earned
His
that,
production is going to be better than Zeke's, and he's making a lot less.
potentially.
Potential.
We'll see how Cowboys' offense looks.
That's not their problem, as I said, but keeping it with the Packers here, I'd like to see him get another corner to go with Zaire Alexander
Yeah.
because he was the only one running around in the NFC Championship game because they were getting picked on.
Yeah.
You saw Tom Brady throwing bombs at the end of the first half. They need to get somebody to go with him, I think, and a receiver.
Yeah, I was going to say a wide receiver probably.
Juju.
Juju wouldn't be bad. I think
Potentially,
Juju could work with Aaron Rodgers. He's a
'cause they don't
similar,
need a star.
he's a similar style to Big Ben, but probably a little more accurate, I feel like.
I'd rather see
Um,
Juju with the
And a better
Packers
decision maker.
rather than the Raiders. So
It would make more sense for the
and it
Packers
would make
for
more
him
sense.
Right.
because they don't need a star. They have
No.
Devontae Adams.
And I think
Juju's not a
Juju
star.
fits as a number 2 or 3 guy. That's
He
his
does.
role.
That's his role. You saw it with when
or
he-
throw him,
Yeah.
throw him in as
Yeah.
a slot receiver. I think he fits that role very well because he's a great route runner.
Ben hit him in
but
that
he's not-
slot 98 yards easily.
Right.
We've seen it.
I think Juju in the slot on the Packers is probably his best spot.
I think if that happens, obviously,
Or how about this?
No, go ahead.
Seahawks
that'd make them a lot
Him
better.
and DK Metcalf.
and Lockett.
And Lockett.
And Lockett?
I don't-
That's phenomenal.
That's
Right
quite a
there.
three-headed monster right there.
That's it.
See
With
what
Russell
face?
Wilson and then who's their running back up there in Seattle? Chris Carson?
Yeah, but aren't they moving on from him now?
Yeah.
Potentially.
Yeah.
So.
James Conner.
No, I don't think they're good both.
Juju, Packers,
I
Seahawks,
think
we'll see.
Juju has a lot of places he can move.
I think
he's
those are
not limited.
two very good places
What's
right there.
Juju is not limited on where he can go.
You can-
There's going to be a lot of teams.
There's a
want him.
long list of people that want him and that would make sense for him.
I wouldn't really
Arizona?
want it, but he can
Arizona?
work on Cleveland, Arizona,
Especially if they move on
Dallas, even.
That
Dallas.
was a wide receivers. Though.
They
Yeah,
would be
they
that
do.
team.
But any LA teams, I think, could use him.
Rams.
Cleveland would make
the
sense.
Giants, the
Giants.
the Washington football team. There was a lot of teams that could use him.
And that would make sense. I think
Yeah,
it makes
Terry,
sense.
Terry McLaurin and Juju Smith-Schuster.
Or even
Well, I don't know
if
who
you
the
want to put
quarterback's
him with the
gonna be, though.
Raiders, you got
Right.
Henry Ruggs and Juju.
Yeah, there's a lot of
And
places.
you got
and
Josh
it-
Jacobs in
and
the
it-
backfield.
Yeah, and Aguilar.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it would make sense for the Browns, especially to move on from OBJ.
Right.
Which, I mean, I don't know where he's going to go
OBJ.
either. But
Doubtful.
That would be
I don't
horrible.
know. There's a lot that's going to happen in free agency with these receivers.
There's a lot of moves.
Now let's talk about that.
Even more than last year.
Do you
probably.
see OBJ go back to the Giants?
I don't think he's leaving Cleveland.
You think he's going to
There's talk about trading him, though.
There's talk. I mean, there was talk all season long, and the Browns had to come out, I think, 3 or 4 times saying, we're not trading him. I mean, how many times do they have to say that over the past 2 years? How many times? I'm pretty sure it's around about a dozen times that they've had to say, no, we don't know where these rumors are coming from. This is just the media trying to get a story and get clicks.
If nothing does happen, which I don't think it will, but then Juju wouldn't make sense. I'm just saying he would make sense if they were to move on from him. But they're just saying that's not going to happen. It's just you just hear stuff all the time,
right?
Especially with probably the Russell Wilson stuff.
That's why I don't think Russ is moving. I don't think Odell is moving. There's certain players that they don't move, and if they are being moved, you hear it from them.
Yeah, the Russell Wilson thing,
because Russ hasn't said he even wants out. He's just saying, man, I want protection.
The only thing I just don't understand is he said he doesn't want out, but then he gave a list of teams. Like, that doesn't make sense.
Right.
That's the only thing I don't really get.
He doesn't want out, but if he is traded,
but anybody can say that though.
Yeah.
Like that's like people. I've heard people on ESPN say it. Like, if you're dating somebody, it's like, yeah, I'm happy in my relationship, but there's like 3 other girls I'd rather have that I would want. That's the same thing. It's a little weird. I don't think he's going to move on from Seattle, or they're going to move on from him. But there's some stuff that doesn't make sense.
It's a weird relationship they've got going on right now.
Some of the stuff here is kind of weird.
I think to help put him at ease, they need to take a guard in the first round.
Get that offensive line going.
Get somebody on the O-line.
Let him take control of the offense.
Probably not a center, but at least give him a guard.
Yeah. I mean, and let him redo the offense like he wants to. I mean, it's clear their offense over the last few years isn't working. And
you build around a quarterback. Is that not the point?
Yeah.
You build around your guy. You're not going to build around a left tackle or even a running back. The league's not a running back league. And I think the last time a team tried to build around a wide receiver, I don't think it really worked very well. Not really. I don't think I can name one.
No, I can't.
Unless you're saying the 49ers were building around
Calvin
Jerry
Johnson
Rice.
in Detroit. I don't know.
I mean, maybe Johnson in Detroit.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, you build around the quarterback. I mean, look what the Browns have put together for Baker Mayfield. They got him guys with amazing hands and quick feet.
And
Big Ben and the Steelers, they've built around him. They got him early on. They got him the running backs that he needed so that they could keep the running game. Obviously, they've gone away from that, giving him 60 passes instead. They built him an offensive line that rivals the Berlin Wall. And then early on, they gave him a lot of wide receivers. I mean, they were giving him what he needed on offense. They were building around the quarterback. Dallas Cowboys built around Tony Romo.
The Troy Aikman teams, too. That was one of the best offensive lines ever.
Exactly.
If the best line
ever.
You
build around the quarterback. That's why teams in the NFL draft... That's why I'm like, in the draft, we keep saying, man, this team doesn't need a quarterback, 1 overall. They need to start building up, to have a quarterback. That's why teams focus so much in the first round. Hey, let's go get our guy because then we can build around him and see what he needs. The only issue with that is if you don't have an offensive line, he gets killed before you can ever build.
Offensive lines are important.
Here's another, this is just off topic. Buffalo Bills released that John Brown. Like a week or two ago.
He'd be a good pickup for somebody.
He'd be a great pickup for somebody.
I think all the same things we just mentioned for Juju will be the same with him.
Yeah. So.
John Brown to Tampa.
The market's big for quarterbacks this year and receivers, as it usually is, but yeah, let's not see that happen, please.
Yeah. Oh, actually, I wouldn't mind that.
What?
John Brown to Tampa?
I'm tired of seeing guys go to Tampa. I've stuck up for Tampa.
I wouldn't mind.
I mean, that's where everyone goes anyway.
Because that's where Brady is.
Tim Tebow's going to sign.
Hey, you're tired from baseball.
Yeah. Officially.
Well, I'm going to go into baseball here if you guys are done with football here.
Let's run an hour and 58 into the show.
Oh, wow.
We got a little bit of an argument that might brew here because we were talking about this before the show. But I'm going to give a quick rundown. So Major League Baseball has taken a step towards eliminating the defensive shift, as people talk about a lot.
Yeah.
As it is eliminating it's going to eliminate it this year for minor leagues and see how it goes in the minor leagues. Many people are against the shift, including Phillies manager Joe Girardi, who I saw today in the Philadelphia Inquirer say he would love to see the major leagues get rid of the defensive shift. Other things that they're going to try in the minor leagues this year is they're going to expand bases, as we talked about. I don't really think it makes sense, but we'll mention that. and then they're going to experiment with the robotic umpires.
Yeah, that is in the low A Southeast, so that's the only one, so you won't see it in your, for most people, in your double A and triple A. It's not going to be there. That's not where they're doing that. The low A Southeast is using a robotic machine to help call balls and strikes. It is not, I mean, they will be used to help, but it will not, I think the final decision still goes to the umpire.
And you'll be able to see the progress that these other changes make. So I'm going to get into it because everybody argues about the shift. Do you have anything against the defensive shift?
Yeah, I have a lot against the defensive shift, actually. I have not liked it. I don't mind small shifts. If, someone is a very strong hitter against the line, I'm okay putting the second baseman, halfway between first and second. What I don't like is when you take the third baseman playing second base.
No, I don't like that at all.
I don't like that.
I do not like that at all.
I don't think they should completely eliminate it.
No.
I feel like there should be lines of that they can't cross. They can't, before the ball is thrown, they cannot be this far over. Because part of what they're doing here is trying to eliminate the home run as much as it has been, get more balls in play, and let the game kind of flow. I mean, the reason for this robotic, it is the robot use to help for balls, strikes, outs, and stuff. They're designed to increase action on the base paths, create more balls in play, improve the pace and length of games, and reduce player injuries. The Major League Baseball right now is trying to evolve itself into a more action-based game. People love home runs, but they also want base runners. They love it when a guy hits a double or a triple. That's what people want to see. It's like, man, that was phenomenal. Yeah, he can hit the ball 400 feet, but can he run? I mean, people love athletes. There's a reason people love guys like Deion Sanders, Jackie Robinson. They brought something new to the game. They were fast, exciting. Players like that. Right now, Major League Baseball is trying to create this, especially because they're making the bases bigger. They're doing that to try and make people steal more. Even if it's just an inch or two there, here or there, that matters. That matters a lot because we see so many plays go to replay that are, man, if that base was an inch closer, he's safe.
Yeah.
It is by an inch. It's such a fast game that 1 inch matters so much, especially when you got guys like Roberto Perez who can hop out of that catcher stance and gun that thing down to second base to throw a guy out. People don't want to steal. People have stopped trying to steal, so they're doing that. They're trying to just get more action on the field. That's what baseball wants. Getting rid of the shift does that, along with changing the baseballs. They are changing the baseballs a tiny bit. They're less than 1/10 of an ounce. Korean Baseball League did it. They adjusted it 1/20th of an ounce. It led to a 33% drop in home runs. Obviously, baseball's not going to go that extreme with it. It'll be very minor, and you'll probably see 10% drop in home runs. Potentially. It'll go back to probably where it was 3-4 years ago. Probably that's all we're going back.
Yeah.
And with that, more balls are going to end up in play along the walls, chances for triples. Part of what they're doing with getting rid of the shift was part of the reason why we had to go to home run ball. It was home run or nothing. It's because when you have the shift, I'm now having, instead of guys all over the field, I'm having 7, 8 guys all standing in between first and second because that's all I can hit. Now, I mean, obviously that's kind of on the hitters to learn, hey, why don't I hit that way? Some players can, some players can't. I think there are times that players really should just learn how to hit the opposite way than they can, which I know is very hard, especially when you've done it for 10, 15 years to where you actually get into the majors. But I think a lot of those hitters that could actually only hit it one way could no longer hit. I mean, look at when Carlos Santana walks up to the plate. They load one side of the field. Mm-hmm. Every time that ball's on the ground or is just, a line drive, it gets caught by somebody because everybody is lined up there. You're taking away the chance of a player actually getting a hit, which is what baseball wants. It's what the fans want. The fans aren't there to see a defensive game. That's not what baseball is. It's America's pastime because it was fun to see. The league is just trying to make it fun again. Because at the end of the day, their numbers are dying rapidly. It is a dying sport. TV ratings are abysmal. They're looking about as bad as NASCAR. Yeah. NASCAR is trying new things. NASCAR completely was trying to change their fan base last year. because of events that happened around the world, they thought it would be better to, hey, why don't we make this a safer environment to try and get more people in? Baseball is doing something similar. They're changing their demographic. They're not going for the 40, 50, 60-year-old men anymore. They're trying to get the younger people like us back into baseball. The kids who still, before the digital age, grew up playing t-ball and wiffle ball. They're trying to get us back into the game. And look at the leagues around us that are successful right now, that our generation is the most attracted to. It's the NBA and football. Why? Because it's fast. It's action-paced. There is scoring. There was a 13-3 Super Bowl a few years ago. People hated that.
Yeah.
Even though it was one of the best Super Bowls around in a while, it actually had fun defensive plays. People don't want defense anymore. The baseball is trying to do exactly what the NBA did for shooters in the three-point shot. Protecting the hitter. Protecting the shooter. They're doing all of these things to give hitters the best chance not to hit home runs, but to get on base and create excitement on the field.
Well, in terms of baseball, like I want to see more runs, but I don't want to see like 15 to 13 run games. Like
that's not what it's going to be. I don't think either.
No, it's not going to be. But in terms of shift,
I think more double plays, more triple plays, even. We'll see. I want to see how this impacts strikeouts, because right now we're in a time there have never been more strikeouts in baseball than there have been right now. I'm hoping this affects the hitter's ability just enough to where they're not swinging for the fences, they're swinging for second.
And it's not even like that long ago that baseball was the normal, the way that it is. I mean, I like seeing home runs, I like seeing runs.
Yeah.
I like seeing the ball go over the fence, but I like seeing a guy hit a base hit through a gap to score a guy from second.
Right.
I like seeing stuff like that.
Now here's your point of not too long ago, MLB was completely opposite. In 2014, they were averaging .86 home runs and 4.07 runs per team per game, was the lowest scoring season since 1981.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't long ago.
And now 2019, 1.39 home runs and 4.83 runs per team per game, which was the most prolific home run season ever. But you're looking at this, we're talking about a difference of 0.5 runs.
Yeah. And a difference of 5 years.
In 5 years.
6 years. I mean,
but 0.5 runs is not that much when we're talking about the grand scheme of an entire season. But I think it's how those runs are coming in.
In terms of the shift, like I'm like you said, I don't like stack.
I don't hate the shift.
I don't either.
I don't love the shift.
I don't like putting four
I think
guys.
there's a healthy medium.
I like when they move in the outfield a little bit.
The outfield I have no problem shifting.
Yeah.
No, you always do it in the outfield.
Or play it in a little bit. Maybe if somebody's bunting or something like that.
If they're bunting, you're in a double play situation.
But the shit, like what you said with 3 guys over and you got your first baseman or whatever all along.
Well, here's the thing.
The first baseman's holding first when there's no one there. The second baseman's on his hip. Then the shortstop's playing,
second base.
Still in the middle. And then you got the third baseman playing second base. And he's not a third baseman
that's
anymore.
The other thing. Like when you're playing 4 guys, I don't like this at all. Playing 4 guys on one side of the infield. You're putting an extra outfielder right next to the right fielder. You're having 4 outfielders. Yeah. I don't like putting it's too much of a mess over there, and I don't want to get rid of this shift completely because you should be able to do whatever you want defensively, but because I think
it should be limited though.
Yeah, it should be limited.
There's a healthy medium in between in baseball that they can go to.
You're right. I don't want to get rid of it completely, but there should be a limit, like you said, on having how many guys on one side of the infield. There should be a line there that says you can only have this many guys.
The third baseman should only be able to go over so far. Shortstop should only be able to go so far. Second baseman, first baseman, same thing either way.
Third baseman shouldn't go any farther than where a shortstop plays.
Right. But I don't think the shortstop should be going really past second that far.
I agree.
Maybe a little. Give him 5-6 feet or directly behind second base. There is no reason for him to be playing second base. He's a shortstop. He's supposed to be the middleman between third and second. And really, the shortstop is there for double plays.
Yeah,
and just to be a balance. He's the counterweight. He is the backup second baseman.
Yep.
He's not the second baseman.
And in terms of the
third baseman is just for a first baseman is just on the other side.
Well, I mean, the third baseman's a third baseman.
Yeah, but
the second baseman's the second baseman.
Yeah.
But the shift. I don't want to get rid of it completely. That's like I told you off the air. That's like telling NBA guys you can't double team somebody. You can't double team Curry. I mean, it's the same thing, and I don't know why. Like I hear guys like Joe Girardi say he would love to get rid of it. All these managers use the shift,
right?
So why is he saying he would love to get rid of it?
Drew
he's used it how
already
many times
played
in the
in a
past?
shift with the Yankees and used it when he managed the Yankees.
And
He did it with Jeter.
partially, I think what the issue is, the MLB is protecting the hitter too much. They're not allowing the hitter to adapt. They're adapting to the hitter.
Yeah.
They're trying to play in the hitter's favor instead of having the hitter actually learn how to play baseball and hit all sides of the field.
And I want to see stuff like that
right
happen.
now, all we're doing is bringing in power hitters. That's what people want to see. They want to see power, which is fun. I admit, when you go to a game and it's 15 home runs, it's like, oh my goodness, this is great. But you know what's so fun? Seeing a team start rallying and guys on base running around the bases, and another double, and a triple. Oh my god!
Like I remember, like it's not always a big moment, like big home runs that are. I remember a couple years when
Believe me.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Believe me, home runs are cool. Like
They are.
you're saying. But man, like a bloop single to win the game, that's amazing.
And I remember the one of those
digging out a triple. I mean, a triple is like the most exciting thing in baseball.
This just happened.
Because you're on the edge of your seat the whole time, like, oh my god, right field has got it. He's chucking it. He hits the hit off, and then it's a bang bang play at third. It's like, oh my!
I want to see guys hitting for the cycle. You never see cycles.
I don't know the last time I've seen a cycle being hit.
I do. Rajay Davis,
Cleveland
Indians.
But my one point I was going to make, one of those years that the Pirates were in the wild card games a lot. The one they beat against the Reds, and they were playing the Cardinals in the division series. There was the one, I think it was Game 3. Josh Harrison was on second, and Pedro Alvarez was batting. You hit a line drive to right field. You hit a ground ball there, and you score a run in the 8th inning of a game that they ended up winning. Like, I want to see stuff like that.
Right.
I like seeing a ball go through a hole like that to drive in a run. That's baseball.
Every hit should count to something.
Yeah.
If a hit is not a home run, it doesn't really seem to matter anymore in baseball.
That's not baseball.
Right. Baseball is getting 15 singles in an inning and making it look like T-ball.
Yeah.
That is baseball. It's just single, 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 single. Double. Oh my goodness, a double.
And an occasional triple, because they're hard to get.
Triples are so, especially with the cannons we got coming out of like right and left field and center field. I mean, digging out a triple in baseball these days is hard.
It is very hard. You have good outfielders and good arms, as you said.
Great outfielders. Probably the best arms we've seen in baseball.
I just want to see where this stuff takes baseball. If it ends up
I hope it puts baseball where baseball should be and gets people our age back into baseball. Because I think baseball are both of your guys' favorite sports.
It is my favorite sport.
Watch and play.
It's my favorite sport.
It's probably my favorite to play because I have experience with it. I haven't gotten the chance to call it, but
it's gonna be my favorite sport to call it. I mean, I just got started calling YSU softball games, and I love it because it's just like baseball.
Right.
And
I hope this brings people back to baseball because that's what they need.
I mean, if it that's where I was going to go. If it brings people back to baseball, not even just people our age, just everybody, I'm all for it. I mean, I might not agree with everything they're doing, but if you get people back into baseball, I'm fine with it.
You've got all the old timers watching it now, and the
old timers are getting pissed off anyway every time a team wants to change its name or anything.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the Cleveland Indians. They said
like
we're getting rid of the Indians name or new rule changes. The old people get pissed. They have stopped the league from evolving.
Yeah. The young people do too. Not as much, but
the young people get mad about the thing that's the issue. The old people get mad about the league trying to fix the issue.
Yeah.
There's the constant struggle between old and new. Tradition and, for lack of a better term, equality, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, whatever.
Just moving on.
Right. Making something new. Leagues should not be afraid of making something new. There's been so much talk in the NBA about creating a 4-point shot in the past 2-3 years because we have guys launching it from 40, 50 feet, and it's like, why shouldn't this count for more? If I launch it from half court, why shouldn't this count for more?
Dame, Steph.
Right. They did it in the All-Star game. If you're going into the 3-point contest, they've added the 4-point shot into the 3-point contest. Yeah. And it's like, oh, well, that's pretty cool. It's a one-shot thing, and if they make it, they have 4 points. Like, it's a game changer.
Yeah.
The leagues shouldn't be so afraid of changing, and I think no league has done that better than the NBA, and I think that's why no league has been growing as fast as the NBA.
And yeah, to close it out here, if this stuff ends up benefiting baseball, I want to see it. People don't realize, maybe people our age, because as you talked about, they're not as engaged. Baseball is a great game.
Yeah,
It's a great game.
Fun to play. It's fun to watch.
It's called America's
It's gonna
Pastime.
be fun to call, believe me.
Yeah, I'll look forward to that for you, Matt. But
And
and nothing. Yeah, both of you. But in terms of baseball, like it's when the fans are engaged in I know it's hard to say play every day, but when the stadiums are packed on summer days, and baseball is a great game. It's just awesome to see, and I hope it gets back to that. And I think hopefully this stuff, if it ends up working in the minor leagues, I hope it works up in the major leagues. So we'll have to see if it makes its way up there. But let's move on to our last couple, the last two segments here.
Right here.
Darn, do we? Are we there already? That time of the week? Is that time?
That's all I got.
Yeah. Take a deep breath before you say it. Clear your throat. You want a glass of water?
I wish. I don't have any on me, though.
Oh.
Well, someone did a thing this week. Somebody said or did something this week. And they were a bit thick-headed.
Me-headed.
No, they're thick-headed.
Thick-headed.
Which is why we've created our very special award. You guys know what time of the week it is. It's our favorite point. For all of you that have stuck to it at this point and are still listening, we thank you. You are our most loyal supporters. And this one's for you. This week's Meathead of the Week.
So this head's Meathead of the Week is a guy named Justin Kutcher. I don't know how to say it. He is a Washington Wizards sports broadcaster, okay? And if I've said this now and you're big Philly fans, I know my buddy's roommate over here is a huge Philly fan. You're going to like what I give this guy. Okay, he came out and said that Ben Simmons, I quote right here. Let me find it. Give me some time. All right, that's Ben Simmons' quote. Oh, I just gave it away. I think Ben Simmons is one of, if not the most, overrated players in the NBA. Okay? All right. What do you think about that?
I strongly disagree. Especially the Wizards broadcaster just straight up saying in a game, one, it's disrespectful.
Yeah.
Two, it's against the broadcaster's, code of ethics. We're not out. Me and you are broadcasters.
We're not here.
Games. We're not here to judge the players on how they are. We're here to call a game.
Yeah.
Obviously, I know as the Wizards guy being there night in, night out for, frankly, a team that has been subpar for so long, he probably is a little frustrated and took it out on Ben Simmons in the heat of the moment. But as a broadcaster, it's not your job to go out there and judge players and do that. It's yes, part of it is judging players, but not in a bad light. We go out there, we judge a player based on their performance that night, based on the numbers of the season, based on the eye test. You're going out there and not judging them in a bad way. You're going out there and judging their performance as of late and how that impacts the game today and a game tomorrow. You're not going out there saying, well, this guy flat out sucks.
Yeah, you can't say that at all.
Right,
okay?
And you say this guy's the most overrated player in
First
the league.
of all,
one, I hope this guy loses his job with the Wizards.
Me too.
That is disgusting, unprofessional, goes against all ethics we have as broadcasters. This outright pisses me off. We say stuff here on the show, being like, we don't like this player. We don't think they're necessarily good, but we respect them.
We respect them.
They've obviously done things to get where they go. You don't like Zion.
I don't like Zion. I don't like.
Credit to him.
I don't like Lamar Jackson. I can't stand him. I've given him credit, absolutely.
And by the way, they're saying, this is the worst guy in the league. You're like, I don't know.
By the way, buddy. By the way, they're Justin Kutcher. Simmons is averaging 16 points, 7.8 rebounds, and 7.7 assists, plus 58.1% from the shooting field. Okay,
a 58% field goal percentage is phenomenal.
He's helped them. And by the way, the Sixers are top of the East. Okay, and what are your Wizards doing?
Right. No, it was completely unprofessional. I hope he gets either severe punishment or fired from his position. Yep. That is unprofessional, uncalled for.
Meathead.
Straight up meathead move. I don't think that's something that a person needs to commentate on during a game. You commentate on the game. People listening to games are not there for your personal opinions. If they wanted your opinion, they would tune into that radio show you don't have.
Yeah.
People listen to shows like this, to shows like First Take, Undisputed,
to hear differences.
Good Morning Football. Differences. That's where if they want to hear players getting, walked on, criticized, they go to that. You're not listening to a game to hear a broadcaster's opinion on a player.
And by the way, Simmons did comment back on this. I'll read this
ahead.
quote. I scrolled through his Instagram and saw who he was. It is what it is. It is what it is. He's like a 5'5" commentator for the Wizards. I can't give it too much attention. Everyone has their voice and they can say what they want, but it is what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is. But at the same time,
Ben Simmons is not focused on that. He's focused on.
He doesn't need to be. He's done enough in this league. He's earned his respect from. I think 99% of the broadcasters. This 1% being the guy from the Wizards. I think this guy for the Wizards is a disgrace on broadcasting.
Okay.
He makes us look bad.
Yes. I think Ben Simmons may be a little overhyped sometimes, but he's not overrated.
No.
At all.
There's a difference between overhyped and overrated.
Yeah.
Overrated means that you just don't think he's good. Overhyped means you think he's getting too much attention. Yeah. I do think at times he gets probably a little too much attention, but I don't think he gets more respect than he's earned. He's earned all the respect and attention that he gets. I think sometimes though the hype is a little like, oh, hold on, he's not LeBron yet. Yeah. We come out here and say like, hold on, we cannot treat Zion Williamson like LeBron James or Michael Jordan. He's still a rookie. Or second year now. Or Lamar Jackson is not Tom Brady. No. Yes, he won the MVP.
Or Michael Vick.
Right, he won MVP. He's doing good. But let's not overhype somebody immediately. And this guy is just coming out here saying, this guy is overrated. Meaning, this guy sucks. This guy is
He
not
shouldn't
good.
be in the league. That's
I don't know if you're saying he shouldn't be in the league, but he's like, this guy is, he's not as good as everybody thinks he is, and that's definitely not the case.
You can't, I really hope.
It's hard to argue with what you guys just said.
Right.
You can't argue with it.
Well, yeah, alright. Well, final segment here, game of the week. I've got one. I would love more, but MLB is still in spring training, and I don't really care, because it's spring training. It doesn't really matter. NHL's got some stuff going on. We didn't really touch on them, though, this week. Besides tournament stuff, obviously most people are turning on March Madness, so I'll give you, instead of March Madness, what else is going on. I think that's what I'm going to do coming up. Kind of let you guys watch March Madness, and then I'll tell you what else is on if you want to watch that. So on the 21st is going to be what should be a really good game. It's on Sunday at 10 p.m. It's only on NBA TV, though. On the 21st, the Los Angeles Lakers and the Phoenix Suns. I think it's going to be a great matchup. I was really kind of looking for those higher-seeded matchups of good teams. The Lakers also face the Hornets, and I think there's a lot of good games. Same night at 10 p.m., there's the Mavericks and Trailblazers. There's a lot of good games in the NBA coming up in the second half of the season. So if you're free one night, go out there on NBA TV if you have it. Look on there. I like the Warriors-Grizzlies matchup on Saturday, too. I think that should be exciting. I know the Hornets, I think, play Friday. Hold on. I got the Hornets game somewhere in here. Hornets versus Lakers. Hornets are heating up. I like them. That's also on NBA TV at 10:30 on Thursday. Try and tune in. If you got some local games going on, watch those. But that's going to do it for the show this week, unless anyone's got any final thoughts.
We're all good.
We're all good. Thank you all for watching. 2.5 hours nearly in the books. I've been Alec Berna. Joining me, as always, are hosting this week, Mike Wolfgang.
And Matt Morrison.
All right. Thank you all for watching. Make sure to check out our merchandise in the description below. Check us out on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. Tune in to wherever you're listening to. Make sure to follow us on there. Anchor, Spotify, Google Podcast, Apple Podcasts. There's tons of places to watch us. If you made it this far through it, make sure to like, share, and subscribe this video. Wherever you're watching. Helps us out in the long run. Without any further ado, thank you all for watching this week. We'll see you next time.